Great Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome back. Your midday hang is here. It's Andy and Elsten. We are on guard for the next 4 hours with you on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Live local San Diego sports talk radio. Head until 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris, full broadcast day ahead. Can't wait to share it with you with Annie Heilbrunn and Braden Soprenic. Craig Elsten here in our Odyssey studios overlooking balmy, chilly Murphy Canyon as we are underway. Interesting day to line up. And good morning, Annie. What's going on?
Good morning. Good morning, Craig and Braden and everyone listening. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hope everyone's having a good morning. A little bit of news trickling out in the baseball world, so I'm sure we'll get to all that. But yeah, another Tuesday, which is exciting.
Ran right through the tape. Braden, what's going on?
Nothing much. Played some softball last night, and just kind of hung out. It's a lot different world in December for me than is the fall time. So not as much running around all over the county, which is great and bad at the same time. It's like after 1 week, you're like the first week, you're like, oh, I can actually like relax for a second.
Do you do like exit interviews for the players on the football team, or is that ridiculous because you're in high school?
Our head coach does that.
Oh, okay.
For the kids that are coming back next year, and then they'll start working out when we come back from the new year.
Of course,
it's like a year-round. I mean, if you want to be good at any sport at any level right now, it's basically year-round practice.
That's nuts to me.
It is nuts.
And then we say we want to balance out the kids' athletic profile, but also football practice resumes 2 weeks after the season's over.
It's mostly weightlifting,
yeah.
but that's like every sport. Like everybody goes like year-round, and what I don't like about it is, and we do a good job of just like, hey, if you're playing other sports, go play other sports. We actually encourage our kids to play other sports because it makes them better athletes. But there's a lot of programs. Not only just at Cathedral, but just everywhere that just want to hog their kids. And it's just like, let the kids be kids. Let them play multiple sports. This is the only time of your life you could do it. And then it's over.
Yeah.
So, but they'll start working out pretty soon. We'll have our banquet in January and all that other fun stuff. Had a nice breakdown of the state championship games last night on America's Finest Football Show. So it was good stuff.
Well, here's what we got lined up today. As Annie mentioned, we've got a little bit of baseball news to chew on. Spoiler alert, none of it's good for us.
It's really bad.
Nah.
But is that like good news?
No good news. I mean, if you like a funny Mike Schilt quote.
Yes.
We've got that as the show continues. So, that's about it for like really positive San Diego Padres news. We do have a funny Mike Schilt quote. Otherwise, it's the time to endure and let go. I saw someone speak philosophically about that on Survivor the other day, and it actually stuck for me. I'm like, endure and let go. Those are two things that you have to understand where the balance is between those in your life and so many different things. And for a Padres fan, sometimes the winter is about enduring and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's also about letting go. Players who were successful to you in the past, but this is how it goes.
Yeah.
You're here for a good time, not always a long time.
You're like it's not Hunger Games. What was the show on HBO that was like, you would know this. It was
what?
It had dragons.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. You're like Game of Thrones in that one shot where it's like the cold, hard winter, and they're all like have the chains and they're pulling something out of I think it was out of the ocean, or I don't know what it was. I honestly didn't watch the show. I know I need to watch the show.
They're pulling a dragon out of the
I think
ocean.
they're pulling a dragon, yeah. But anyways, you're like the cold, long, hard winter.
I'm the Night King?
Winter is coming.
Winter. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, Winter is Coming is the House of Stark thing, but the guy who was overseeing the pulling of the dragon out was the Night King.
No, you're not overseeing it. You're just pulling the dragon out.
Ouch.
You're part of the... I don't know who's who. I'm just saying, like, you're trudging along.
In a way. I was feeling a lot more, like, kind of philosophical than the pulling of the dead dragon out of the ice pit.
Is that dead dragon good or bad?
Well, it was good, and then it was killed, and then they, like, zombified it with the Night King's touch, and then it was an evil ice dragon at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, things turn really
quickly.
Cold. Yeah, cold quickly.
Life comes at you fast, dragon.
And sometimes, that happens in MLB as well. Kyle Higashioka is no longer a San Diego Padre. He wasn't a San Diego Padre after the last game of the year. He was a free agent.
Yeah.
He was up for anybody. And, a guy that I think we definitely said on the program we thought there were potentially would be a reasonable agreement you could come to keep Kyle Higashioka. I'd say he got a pretty reasonable agreement to go to Texas.
Yeah, around $13 million.
Yeah.
2 years. Look, I had hoped, I think I said it on the show, I thought they were going to come to an agreement with Kyle Higashioka and bridge the gap between here and wherever it is that Ethan Salas is coming. Because as we heard a few weeks ago, you can't bank on Ethan Salas coming in 2026. He might.
Right.
He might come at some point in 2025. But I talked about what Tony Gwynn Jr. had heard, and of course, it can always change, but that maybe his development is taking a little longer, right? But you would want someone like a Kyle Higashioka to be someone who can be a good bridge to the next catcher, who you would presume is going to be Ethan Salas, and can kind of help mentor him as he comes into the big leagues. And I hope that whoever they find or whoever becomes that person is able to be that good kind of, big brother, a kind of mentor type. Because I thought Kyle Higashioka was really good for this team. I mean, look, he had a career year last year. He might not ever have that again. He had 3 home runs in the postseason, 17 in the regular season. We all know how he was good behind the plate. He had some areas to improve, throwing out runners. But in terms of pitch framing, in terms of working with the staff well, in terms of being a bit more of a presence at the plate than we've seen with other catchers, he was doing it. And I loved his relationship with the pitching staff and the rest of the clubhouse. I loved his relationship with Michael King, who was like his BFF from the Yankees.
Yeah.
And he also was next door in his locker to Jackson Merrill, and he and Jackson Merrill hit it off. Jackson Merrill had Kyle Higashioka's picture on his locker, and Kyle Higashioka was the one who made Jackson Merrill sit to a seat on the bus and kind of do the whole rookie thing. And they had a lot of good laughs, but I thought, for someone who's a catcher and someone who's a hitter, or a position player, they obviously both are, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They were able to bridge that gap pretty well. And so in that respect, it's sad to see Kyle Higashioka go. On the same end of the token, obviously the Padres are looking at where do we need to put our money and where do we think we can perhaps let some people go and put that funds to a different use for something that they consider more of a priority.
Well, for context for the audience, if you don't remember or don't know, based on the projections that are out there, and this is factoring in the guys who get built-in raises for 2025 and all the arbitration players who will also get raises for 2025, that the Padres are already against the luxury tax threshold, or potentially a little bit over the luxury tax threshold. So the biggest question of the offseason, which remains unanswered, is, are the Padres willing to go into at least the first apron of the luxury tax and spend some money to keep a team on the field that, if they can't keep pace with LA, at least is as complete a team as you can put right out there on the field. And the early signs are maybe they aren't going to spend over the cap, because a guy like this, a deal like this, he's not breaking the bank.
No.
Kyle
Not at
Higashioka
all.
getting a little under $6 million this year and a little over $6 million next year, on a club option. That shouldn't break the bank for anybody. You can make a value argument whether or not signing Kyle Higashioka's next 2 years is a great risk or not, in terms of, he got 1.4 WAR last year. That's the most he had ever had in his career for any season, and it's still 1.5. It's not a lot. So I feel like you can replace Kyle Higashioka, but he was a guy who really fit in, and this was a team that really fit well together. So already the signs I'm seeing are like those good feelings. They're going to be contained in our best of segments, that in our looking back, but it's going to be a new team in 2025.
Absolutely. And with Kyle, I wonder, maybe the Padres were willing to give him a 1-year contract that was maybe a decent amount of money, but maybe they weren't willing to go for 2 because also of wondering or not knowing exactly when Ethan Salas might be ready or having some other ideas for what might happen at that position. And maybe Kyle said, look, no, I'm going to go for where I can get a little bit more money and also get a multi-year contract. So I see a lot of social media comments out there, and I understand it, that are like, we're doomed and the Padres are not going to spend any money. And I would just say pump the brakes a little bit on that. I mean, we're not even to the winter meetings. Like, if it comes to be the beginning of spring training, or maybe even like the middle to end of spring training, and they haven't spent any money, then I think you clearly know that that's the way that they're going. But at this point, I'm sure they're working on some plans and they've got some ideas of what they want to do, and they are going to do something. It is a bummer to see Kyle Higashioka go. I do also think it was a reasonable contract, and I would think that you would even want that second year because you want to mentor Ethan Salas, or you want to have that tandem.
Right.
I mean, Kyle Higashioka is 34. That would be a perfect marriage if that ended up being the amount of time that they were working together, right? At the same time, I don't know what their plans are. I can't sit here and say like they did something wrong because I don't know exactly what they're trying to do, and we don't know that yet. I was listening to Ben and Woods talk about this, and Ben was talking about the other day how, in his opinion, it would be the worst thing in the world it would be a bad thing.
World.
It would be the worst thing. I'm putting that in his mouth, I think. It would be a bad thing to go over the luxury tax by a few $100,000.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
of course,
I do agree with
sure.
him on that. Like, if you're, because then you're going to incur all the penalties, and you're going to be in the year 2 penalties next year, and for not a good, not that much of a value. So I think if you're going to go over, you are making the commitment to ride hard and go way over,
go
not way over, but
over.
go exactly, make it worthwhile to go over that luxury tax. And I'm not certain that they're going to do that.
Use as much of that first threshold as possible.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a waste. Otherwise, it would be dumb. It would be dumb to just go over by, a small amount, because it doesn't save you anything.
And I'm just not sure they're going to do that. I'm just not sure that they're going to go ride that wave over that
right
threshold.
Well, and the fact that he got a smaller deal than I probably anticipated with the Rangers, if he's not in that market, I think that's a major red flag for the Padres. But I also agree with you, Annie, in the sense that, like, if they're putting all their funds in a different position, then okay, it makes a little bit of sense. You can't evaluate the entire product until the house is complete, right? When you work on your remodel, and Doug Gottlieb had that on his show a long time ago, back when Adam Klug worked for him, and he told me this analogy. I use it all the time now. I love it. He said when they were remodeling their house, Doug and his wife hated the room, and it was like 2 months into a 6-month project. He said, well, let's wait. Wait until the finished product is there before we can make our judgments, just because we don't like the way it might be getting assembled. And I thought, I used that same terminology last year, and the reality is, it's like, we thought the way that they constructed the roster last year was very head-scratching and took a lot of risk and ended up working out. So hard to pass judgment right now, when they haven't had other moves. But I don't think you have a warm, comfortable feeling inside seeing what Kyle signed for, knowing you need a catcher, knowing that the other players on the market are not that much better than Kyle Higashioka, and the fact that the Padres, couldn't spend the money for this. Yeah, a little bit of a red flag, but until the whole thing is complete, you can't really judge the product.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and it might be that we get to that point, right, the end of spring training, and they didn't spend a lot, or they didn't make a lot of moves that maybe look prudent on paper, or look like they're worth
Shoot, they traded for Dylan Cease as they were flying to Korea.
Right. It's that's the hard thing. Is like, I'm not saying that even these fans are wrong. I don't know. Yeah, none of us know, right? Like, I'm just saying that it's a little too early to say that, like, they're not spending another dime. That's something you got to reserve judgment for and see at closer to when the season's starting.
That's an extreme side of this, but if you want to be somewhere in the middle, it's like, well, the fact that they didn't sign him is a little concerning, and then it kind of leads to, again, what Andy's been saying, was like, they're not going to go over the luxury tax, which means you better start shedding some payroll, otherwise they're going to be in the category that Ben said, which is would be the idiotic category of just going a couple $100,000 over and getting penalized for not getting a benefit out of it.
Yeah, right now, the field looks like Padres trimming, maybe hugging the line, trying to, we're just over right now. But remember, it's not calculated to the end of the year.
That's right. It's not calculated until
we're going to get just
deadline, right?
under, figure it out. Yeah, I mean, in 2021, the Padres traded for Jake Marisnick right at the end of the deadline, and it put them 100,000 over, and that's how they had the first of their 3 years going
really?
over. Yes.
Oh, geez.
So we have done the dumb thing.
Well, then maybe they didn't, and maybe they're at that point they're okay with that, or that seems like a good decision to them because they feel like they're this close to making a deep run in the postseason or whatever it is, but there's probably going to be more thoughtfulness behind that decision than like right now.
Yeah. I agree. But, for Kyle Higashioka again, and we can talk about it more later.
But we got to talk about Campusano as well and what that means.
Because guess what? Here he is.
Like, that's my question is, will Campusano, are they looking at him again as, hey, let's give him another shot? Let's try to make him the starting catcher. And I don't know the answer to that.
Is Brett Sullivan having an irrationally happy breakfast today? Like,
right.
maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. I've been waiting all this time.
There's an opportunity cost with Campusano.
They had an article. Mark Feinstein had a thing of 30 players that could be traded this offseason for each team, like one player for each team. And he listed Luis Campusano yesterday.
Oh, did he?
To potentially get sent away.
If we had signed Higgy, I would have co-signed that for sure that we were trading Luis Campusano.
That's literally right before Higgy signs with the Rangers. They put out the article. It's like, well, they weren't really that impressed with Campusano, and might be time for a new change of scenery, and then the Padres can sign Higashioka and just wait for Ethan Salas. Well, so much for that plan.
Well, here's what's coming up on the rest of the show today. In the first hour, as we like to do, we're going to survey some of the biggest stories going on in San Diego sports. Coming up at 11, we're going to get into baseball's kooky plan to try and be more like the NBA, the golden at bat. Mm-hmm. I've got the golden at bat.
I mean, bring in a golden snitch while you're at it.
Yeah,
let's
golden
just have
ticket.
whoever
hold up a golden
catches
bat.
a snitch win the game. Right?
Like maybe the bat should be.
That's right.
Goal.
Maybe they should hit a ball and it explodes, and whoever has the golden ticket
gets an extra 10 runs.
That's it. Right. Exactly.
I've got it. Oh, look, it's little Charlie.
We should have the pitcher.
He caught it after all.
Or player safety, pitch with an L screen. And go 10-foot arc slow pitch. We could have great home runs. It'd be great.
It'd be incredible.
So entertaining.
We'll be talking about that. We'll get back into the catcher market. Who's left in the catcher market? We'll tell you.
Who's going to catch the knuckleball?
Who's going to catch the knuckleball is a great question, because tell you what, again, we'll breach it more at 11, but Matt Waldron's in this rotation next year, gang. Just be ready. It's just a question of whether he's the fourth starter or the fifth starter. That's the only question remaining. 12 o'clock Sports Fix, of course, comes your way at the midpoint of the show. We will play Mind the Gap for today's silly game. We still have 4 more days of qualifying people for the 2-night stay at Westgate and 2 tickets to Solo Motown and $150 food and beverage credit. So we'll play the game of multi-generational trivia coming up at 12:40. As mentioned, Mike Schilt said something funny. We'll play that and laugh. At 1 o'clock, our buddy Tony Sanchez will join us from San Diego Punto Football, because there's a lot of news in San Diego soccer today. There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot, including potentially a new head coach for the Wave very soon, including a new player for San Diego FC very soon. And this morning, the thing we'll talk about next segment, which is Jill Ellis out at San Diego Wave FC. O-U-T out, gone today. We'll talk about that when we come back. That's the show we got lined up for you. It should be a fun one. It rolls till 2. Andy and Elsten here with you, taking our first time out on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's not over. The show's like literally just getting underway.
Well, it's over for Joe Ellis.
It's a great point.
It's the context, you know? It's not always about... Hey, you know what, Craig? It's not always about you, buddy. Make it about me. Craig Elsten over here.
What?
And maybe it's about something. Maybe
It's about the show. It's about the show.
your insecurities are showing.
This is a bit we do every time. The song comes out and they say, no, the show's not over.
See, we can use it for different contexts. We've been lucky on the music the last couple of days. We had the Harvey song of waking up on the wrong side of the truck bed after the kid broke into my house. We had the So Sorry It's Over.
I tried to retell that story at home last night and just failed.
You should have played the clip on the
I literally almost
10:40 on a Monday.
I sent that to a
Braden, I got halfway into it and like realized how little engagement I was getting. Like I could, because that was a good story.
It's
like
hilarious.
I know stories. That was a good story. So either I was doing a terrible job of telling it, or it was just not being received. And I was just like, I should just like open up YouTube right now.
Yes.
And just like go click and do a way better job. But that was
That's what I did. I went back in the Odyssey
story.
app. You could share from an exact spot. Well, now you can't because it's over 24 hours. But like you go to the spot and then you go share from this certain spot and sent that to a decent amount of people.
Nice.
I had some people reach out to me going like, I was late to work because of you.
They were
Because
waiting
I
to hear the
had
end
to
of the
figure out
story.
what was going on in
Yeah.
the story. I was just waiting to hear what was going. Like, what is this mysterious creature in your house?
Is
was
the
a
music
kid.
still on
That's
YouTube?
good stuff.
It's not. I turned it off.
Okay, good. Adam, we've always got our friendly helpers.
That's right.
That are waiting to let us know. Okay, so this morning, San Diego Wave FC made it known that President Jill Ellis, the person who has run the club for, since its inception, she was the original leader of San Diego Wave FC, has moved on. That she is now going to be the head of football at FIFA, which, okay.
Looks like a global role, it says.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
ish.
No. FIFA is 100%. FIFA runs the World Cup. They're the global organizing body that's in charge of the World Cup. FIFA, I'm trying to put it the most tactful way I can, Annie. Doesn't have a great reputation.
Okay.
In the global soccer community for being an upstanding organization.
I've heard a few stories here. Right.
Maybe leaning toward the more, corrupt side of things. Historically. And she's head of football. So does that mean like organizing? I don't know what it means. It could be a ceremonial position. I have no idea what it means. Yeah.
I'm reading in The Athletic. It says she will work alongside former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger.
Wenger.
Okay.
Yeah, Arsene Wenger.
Who has been the organization's chief of global football development. Still not sure what that means. Since 2019. But it does say that her role is a newly created position, and it is responsible for helping to drive, quote, the development and implementation of FIFA's global football strategy.
There you go.
Okay.
So, I wish her well. And this was the worst year that someone could have, I'd say, as an executive, pretty much. And to have it end the way it is, I think it just needs a little context that the Wave came into the season as the NWSL's attendance leader, the Shield winner for the best, regular season record, had just hosted the championship game, which the club was unable to get to, but nonetheless, they hosted the championship game. They've got a global icon as their leader, Alex Morgan. They've got a head coach, Casey Stoney, that they literally in the offseason signed to a 4-year contract extension to entrench as what they thought was the best coach in the league, in the country. And then by the beginning of the year, the team's general manager, Molly Downton, was gone. By like the 10-game mark of the regular season, Casey Stoney was gone, let go. You get to an interim head coach, you get to a second interim head coach, Landon Donovan. By the end of the summer, you've got a lawsuit being filed against Ellis by former employees and allegations made very publicly that we had to go through on the show that put the supporters into a really tough spot and put all the folks who support the team overall into a tough spot of like, do you have to side with one side with the other, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, on the field, the team has a terrible year, doesn't win anything, gets kicked out of Champions League or Champions Cup that they were in, finishes 10th, doesn't make the playoffs, didn't win anything other than the opening game exhibition against Gotham. And then final part of the timeline here for y'all in the audience is there was an ownership transition that was taking place that was agreed to at the beginning of the year, but actually took place in the last month, where power changed hands. And now, very, very short time after that, Jill Ellis is out at San Diego Wave FC. So, I mean, to me, I look at that all and I say, new ownership didn't want to try and continue forward with this. They wanted to create a new identity next year.
Yeah, I mean, Wave FC has been around since this is their 3rd year that they've played, and this last year has been terrible for them. Their first 2 years were really good, and that was under Jill Ellis as well.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't know what went on inside that building, and I don't even know as closely as you do, Craig. I do have a few people that know Jill Ellis and told me that she was really, really upset about all the allegations that had gone on, in the sense of she hated the fact that that was the reality for people. And
right.
It doesn't mean that it wasn't the reality. It could have been both. that was the reality. And also it was really hard for her to hear or to take on the disappointment in just what had become something that she felt very passionate and strongly about. So this could just be the best thing for both parties also, where it's like an understanding of, hey, you're moving on to this, we're moving on to that. It just isn't working anymore. But certainly for those women who felt like and who have talked out publicly, I'm sure they definitely feel a certain type of way about this happening where maybe now this is a chance for a new start.
Yeah. And again, we're going to talk to Tony Sanchez at 1 o'clock, and we'll get into more of it. And he knows more than we know, right? You know, as somebody who's reporting the scene a lot more often. But one thing I did hear, being out at the USD game on Sunday and meeting with some people I know and some people in the organization that I know, you know, they're ready to turn the page. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Wave announced their new head coach tomorrow or Thursday, you know, like really soon. And if not tomorrow or Thursday, like next Monday, like it'll be very soon because that, from what I'm hearing, that has already essentially been agreed to and it's about to be announced. So that's coming down the pipeline. You're going to, you know, they've had player announcements. There's going to be more player announcements. You know, they had the big signing of the young woman out of Texas because, right, they've abolished the draft. So now you're signing key players out of college. So the Wave want to turn the page, and they're going to want to turn the page quickly and firmly on 2024. And so, as such, you know, with all respect to Jill Ellis and all the accomplishments she had as the president of San Diego Wave FC, doesn't get to where it is without her, right? It doesn't get as big as it did, as fast as it did without Jill Ellis. But in the end, it seems like everyone's in a happier space now, parting ways.
Yeah, and if there's cultural problems, which it sounds like there could be or possibly are from everything we've read and heard, you want to address those now. I mean, you as a new ownership, you mentioned there's so much turnover. Like, this is your time to say, okay, you know, we've completely turned over what we perceive as maybe being some of the issues here, or some of just the butting of heads, right? So now we're going to implement this new culture, or try to implement a new identity or a new way of working, or, you know, this is your chance to essentially address things that maybe you felt either you couldn't address or you tried to address before, or in fairness to Jill Ellis, because I don't know what happened and we don't know, you know, just was a clashing of two belief systems, right? Or whatever, you know, but this is your opportunity to just go ahead and wipe the slate clean and implement it the way that now that those allegations are out there, implement it in a very thoughtful way based on what you've, you know, read and heard to this point. Yeah.
So interesting story. More on it with Tony at 1 o'clock. You know, I kind of like the direction of this. Maybe the first hour of the show is kind of like the local hour, you know, like they do on the Le Breton show. Like, we hit the big local stories, and then we get, of course, to the Padres hour, which in the season is the Padre Deep Dive hour. And then, you know, by 12 o'clock, we've kind of got the national stuff that locks in. Yeah, a little show recipe going on. And as such, when we come back on the local hour, some of the other local stories from the last 24 hours, including the Aztecs in the rankings. But are they in the right rankings, in the right place? But they got some great news as the Players Era Festival is paying out and getting ready to pay out way more next year. Hear about those plans and how the Aztecs are smack dab in the middle of them after this timeout. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Hey, San Diego sports fans, head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings. Try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild smoky chipotle heat. Or for a bit of a kick, check out the new Cajun sauce for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery. Buffalo Wild Wings Go is the place you need to go in order to make that happen. All right, Annie and Elsten back here with you. San Diego State into the AP poll at 24th after their great week at the Players Era Festival. Mark Ziegler noted in the yes, that's a cool hoodie. I like that one.
It is
Braden.
a cool hoodie. I got it at the Aztec game on Saturday.
So
it's the only Nike one they had.
Interesting, and it's like black, and the logo's gray.
It's the it's the logo. It's their
and
Native
then turquoise
American,
for the Native American.
Yeah.
Got it.
They must have, because they wore those at like the beginning of the year. They must have just made all these. But I got it at the Aztec store. That's Snapdragon. It's super nice, comfortable, Nike, little Jumpman action.
Yeah, I like it.
There it
I
is.
like the
I like it
turquoise
too.
Jumpman.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
good.
I wore. I purposely went to the game on Saturday without a jacket because I needed a new Aztec sweatshirt to buy an Aztec sweatshirt. So as soon as I got there, I went. They had all the traditional ones with the SDSU, the classic ones, but I didn't really
You were
want to.
confident you were going to find something.
I was confident. I mean, Aztecs have cool stuff because it's red and black, right? It's hard to screw that up. So, but they only had one Nike sweatshirt. I don't really want to wear the Champion one because then you wash it and it shrinks. And So I got the Nike one. It was like $10 extra, but whatever.
I think it was worth it.
I think so too. I think it's a nice sweatshirt.
Good pick.
And my mom's like, "Why did you get it's not red and black?" And I'm like, I didn't go to San Diego State. I don't really care. It looks cool.
That's it. Yeah, you don't have to care.
That's right.
And they decided to put it out, so it's their colors too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's their, it's their their heritage one that they do, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Native American support one or whatever.
I think that's close to the right title. So, I'm not too worried about Ziegler's story today about, in the Ken Palm we're this, and in the Zib Zab we're that, but in the Hoomby Boomby we're up to here.
It's early.
It's way too early. That'll all sort.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to know is that Houston's a really good team, so you can bet on them continuing to be good all year, and as such, lifting the Aztecs' metrics through all the hooly-boolies.
Yeah.
And similarly, Creighton, which is currently not giving the Aztecs very much ballast because they lost 3 games in Vegas and they dropped out of the rankings, they're going to turn it around. They were picked to finish second in the conference. They're going to have a good year. They're going to win games in the Big 12, one of the, as Braden said yesterday, rated the top basketball conference in the country. And that is going to lift San Diego's Hoomby Boomby and Ken Palm and Zing Zang. All of them are going to go up.
I don't recall the Zing Zang ranking.
It's a new one.
That's
It's
a new
the
one?
new one they just added is the Zing Zang.
The Zing Zang.
Yeah.
The Hoomby Boomby?
The Hoomby
Sponsored
Boomby.
by Hostess.
Listen, it's hard to
Zingers.
get that one settled.
I mean, I hope they get number 1 in that.
That's right. That'd be nice.
Why are those ones ridiculous and Ken Palm is not?
I don't know.
Yeah. Because nobody wants to
true.
say Ken's full last name.
Waving your Ken Palms. Okay, but here's the great news for the Aztecs. Players Era Festival. Post-game breakdown. All right? It all went really, really well. Everyone was extremely happy. The tournament was a major success. And the leader of the whole thing, a guy named Ian, this is really his name. Woodsy, this is really his name. Ian Orifice.
How do you spell his last name?
Yeah, go ahead. Please spell it.
Orefice. No,
Fine.
it's not.
Fine.
Rough
Fine.
for him growing
Yes.
up as a kid.
Ian Orifice, along with And One founder Seth Berger.
Orifice and Burger?
What? This entire story is fake.
The
you get this from the
USA crime
Onion?
drama you didn't know you needed.
Did you find
The law office is Orifice
This is
and
why we
Burger?
need real check marks on social media, damn it. Craig is getting bamboozled. He's getting swindled.
Rizzoli and Isles, Orifice and Berger. Oh, my Lord.
Did Bart Simpson come up with these names?
Anyways, Mr. Orifice.
You gotta see more butts over there.
Did he open his mouth, Mr. Orifice, and tell someone something?
Did he shove the burger down his gullet?
Stop it!
One orifice.
Oh man!
Don't get Queen of Eyewash going on orifices.
Okay, so they
had $9 million in escrow.
Did the check cash?
The checks are all going out. It says
right.
the money's being deposited Thursday.
Because that is a
into
real
team
thing.
accounts.
We're not just joking about that. The schools are waiting to see is the money actually going to land in their account.
No, it said they had $9 million sitting in escrow as of a month ago.
Okay, well. Let's make sure the check clears. The money
the checks
drops
are clearing.
in the account.
The checks are clearing.
Okay.
The money's coming out. It's going to be handed out Thursday.
Well,
I'm sure, news on Friday if there's any issues.
Right.
But presumably everything was good. The games aired all across the Warner Brother properties, TNT and Max and whatnot. And here's the plan for next year. Next year, Berger said, the tentative plan is to have games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday with somewhere between 16 and 20 teams in the field. They're going to stick with the MGM Grand Garden Arena, add Michelob Ultra Arena, and possibly T-Mobile Arena for the final. The winning team will get an additional $1 million next year. This year, they got $250,000 extra for winning. Or no, a half. They got $500,000. So double it.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So let's say it's a 16-team field. All 16 teams start off, get $1 million to their NIL. And then you'll have a prize structure that I'm guessing is going to go 8 deep, because this year it went 4 deep for an 8-team field that is going to, parcel out more money. And here's the greatest news from the USA crime drama team of Berger and Orifice. They are going to retain all 8 teams from this year's field into next year's tournament. So the Aztecs are in.
And again,
that's another $1 million.
Boom. I thought they have a 3-year contract.
I think they do.
Okay, so this is good. Yeah, this is good news. And it was interesting. They went home during this round.
They did.
Yeah, they played. They went home for Thanksgiving. Then they came back. Then they flew back. And so I would imagine with something for that week and taking Thursday off, that's kind of the thought process there is let everyone who wants to. Well, really, the Aztecs are the only closest
Yeah,
ones.
that's it.
Right.
It's probably just so you don't have to plan
right.
Thanksgiving. You guys can do it as a team.
Exactly.
And stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, UCLA could do the same thing or an SC.
Whoever's close enough.
Yeah, but otherwise, right. I mean, that was great news. Now, if they are expanding here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe they don't get to do that next time. Maybe that was a one-off. But pull away quote here. So as some of the other teams, they've already added Gonzaga. They've already added Baylor, Michigan, Iowa State, St. John's, Syracuse, and St. Joseph's for 2025. And they said they've got a quote-unquote blue blood lined up as well that they haven't been able to announce yet. So maybe they add a Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, a team like that.
Yeah.
And Berger's pull quote at the end says, this isn't just about one event. We're trying to make the Players Era the biggest brand so we can pay the players even more. We're looking at down the road having a huge impact in the sport.
Is this bad news for our holiday tournament?
Like the Radies one? Or?
Since it's during the same weekend?
Yeah.
Like, if they're getting all the best teams because they're paying for their players, isn't that not good for us that are trying to host, the same kind of tournament?
Maybe.
Yeah, because as Sam said, Kansas is in the Radies the one next year, and I know they were trying to work to make that the new Maui Invitational, but
like a West Coast kind of.
Did the one in Vegas just swoop in because they get to pay the athletes?
Yes,
it's possible.
They have swept in. That just happened.
If you're Kansas or North Carolina or Duke, and it's the Radies tournament or multi-team event, or the Vegas one that you can win money, which one do you think they're going to play in? Right.
Right.
And this is something that other teams and programs watch to see, hey, did they pull this off? Did the broadcasting go through? Was the transportation, the hotel set up? I mean, the players talked about that, how they felt like they were treated like it was. I mean, you were being paid to play. I mean, it was a professional type of setting.
Yeah.
Aztecs got
like
in
the
on the
basketball
ground
tournament.
floor. Yeah. And so I think like to see it grow, you're probably looking at that, Braden. Like you're probably looking at them kind of taking over, which is a good point during that week, or at least having their fair share of the pie here and other teams wanting in on it. I mean, an extra $1 million just for showing up and then another $1 million for winning it. And then you get the other cash prizes for whatever you place for, especially a program, a mid-major like SDSU. That's huge. But it's huge for any program.
For
I mean,
every program.
Right.
Kentucky wants that money.
Right.
You know, I mean, everyone wants that money.
And you have the infrastructure in Vegas
yes.
to take over Vegas.
That's it. And that's their whole idea is they said they want to create a third tent pole. So if conference tournaments is a tent pole, and if the NCAA tournament is the ultimate tent pole, they want the Players Era Festival to be the first of that. So they, you know, they're dreaming big. They're dreaming of 24 teams, like almost the whole top 25 being there Thanksgiving fighting for money.
That basically eliminates the Maui Invitational.
Well,
but there are also coaches. I'm only thinking of this from our friend, fit guy, hissy fit guy,
Dan Hurley?
Yeah, like, you know, saying that he's not going to go back to the Maui.
Invitational.
Right,
Well,
right.
he can
And
sit
Sam
there
in the
at
chat
home
saying lots of
and-
programs don't like those neutral site tournaments. Like, will there be teams that turn their nose up at
Well,
some of this?
there might be programs like UConn that have more money than God for basketball
right.
that don't need an extra $1 million. But then at
Sorry,
that
your
point,
team lost, Dan. I'm never coming back.
yeah, I'm never coming back.
Whatever,
Well, go take your ball and go home.
I'm so happy
I
the
think
Lakers
Let the
didn't
money
hire
go
him.
to someone else.
But now it's like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of these teams have always gone to Maui because it's been a big tournament and, you know, it's in a warm destination with all these other cities. Because, like, before, it was basically just the Maui Invitational. That was the only real tournament. And they had the Battle for Atlantis and all that. But they had to fly over oceans to get to these places. Now they just got to go to Vegas
But they're
or
not
San
all
Diego.
offering money like this Vegas one is.
I know,
are they?
but what I'm like, no, they're not.
Right.
The only one's offering money right now is Vegas. So, like, you know, Maui Invitational is probably going to die a slow death.
Or maybe starts off. Do you think?
Yeah.
it'll
I mean,
start
yeah,
to
not
offer?
not instantly.
No,
Right.
it'll just start dying a slow death. It'll just be a bunch of like mid-major schools that didn't get invited to Vegas
Right.
because you know UConn's never going to be in it.
Well,
I mean, Dan Hurley just totally MF'd the Maui Invitational as he left out. I mean, he's got very powerful coaching friends that probably, oh yeah, it's probably right. I don't really want to go to that anymore. So hopefully San Diego can get going on this and keeping their Radies thing alive for as long as possible because it'd be nice to have that tournament at the beginning of the year and not get outbid by Vegas with a 32-team tournament in Vegas.
hey, you know, nice grocery store you had there. A lot of tradition, a lot of history to it. Sorry, Walmart just moved in.
Hey, it's a nice mom and pop shop
Yeah.
you got
And I mean,
there.
this era
Be a
of
shame if
NIL
something
and
happened
when
to it.
everyone's
That's
going to be
it.
trying to get an extra edge wherever they can. Plus, it was good for the Aztecs, not just on the money side. It was good on winning. It was good on showing that their team is able to play against some of these really good teams and win.
Just wait for the story next year about how that $1.15 million that they got turned into keeping Magungwath or keeping X
Yeah.
player, and there's like a direct link from that weekend to this
Yeah.
player because that's coming. All right, local hour done. When we come back, the Golden at bat, really? Next. 11 o'clock on the Fan. Welcome back to Annie and Elsten, hour number 2 with you on 97.3 FM radio. We come to you live on the Odyssey app as well, AUDACY. Free to download, free to use, free to leave a voice message if you would like to, flex your technological wizardry.
Got one last night on the
Really?
high school football show. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like one in the
you?
middle of the night for
Right.
us. I was like, what's going on?
No, not for you.
Okay, fair enough.
There's no real. I mean, if you leave one, I only listen to the ones that are left during show times that are ours, obviously. So, so if they leave it at a different time for us, I'd have to go find it. But
Okay.
Oh dear.
yeah, give us a voice message.
Do it.
Leave a voice message. I really want to see this in use.
You can do that on the Odyssey app. You can also rewind and do many other things.
Let us know what you think about Kyle Higashioka going to the Rangers. By the way, not even as a starter.
I know.
He's splitting time.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Heim is their number one.
Yes. That deal was
Back to that backup
essentially
life.
a backup life, or a split time life.
Yeah. Whereas I'm sure AJ told him, no, you'll be our opening day catcher
Yeah, I know.
if you come on over
You're
here.
gonna be our guy.
And he's like, but we'd like to offer you a stick of juicy fruit. And
Apparently not the ability to play. What song was it, Braden? That
Round and Round.
must have
Round and Around by Raft. or
Okay. Apparently the clubhouse told him he wasn't allowed to play anymore. He had played it so much.
something. He wanted to play that song. Probably put it in his contract.
could this be the secret reason why Kyle Higashioka
It's gone.
is gone?
Maybe the guys are like, we don't want to hear the guitar anymore.
That, or the
Great catcher, super annoying song list.
or the fact that Chris Young reached out to him the first day they
For
could.
sure.
Yeah.
And
They obviously
what,
really wanted him.
and connecting also with Boch. I mean, those are going to be two peas in a pod right there.
Chris Young, huge Rat fan. No
Yeah.
one knew.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's just huge,
Giant
man.
Rat fan. He's like, could you just play that for me one more time, Kyle? He's like,
That's
sure.
what sold it
It's like,
for
I
him.
love this song. It's my favorite song.
That's what
One
got
more
him.
time.
That's what got him the mutual option in the third year.
Incredible. Kyle's gone. You can send that voice message. We're a podcast, so if you're listening to us on the podcast, hello, thank you for being there. If you'd like to leave us a quick 5-star review, or even better, a nice little written review, that helps us out. And we're, of course, live on YouTube. We're live on YouTube every day. All of our shows live on YouTube every day. 97.3, the fan page is where you got to go. All you got to do, click that in the search bar, find it. When you get there, hit the subscribe button. You will be all set for all future broadcasts. For everybody who's in the chat today, thank you for being there. Even the folks watching that aren't in the chat today, thank you for being there. If you can hit that little thumbs up button, it'll take like a quarter second out of your day. That helps us out as well. There's your broadcast umbrella. That's where we are for you on Annie and Elsten. Okay, yesterday this story came out. Jason Stark, he's got to fill time too. But
He filled a lot of words on this story.
Certainly did. However, it did come from the mouth of the commissioner. So that is the basis upon which we are discussing the golden at bat.
Yeah, and it was well done what Jason Stark did. I mean, he talked to executives, to players. He got the comments from relievers, from position players about what they would think if this idea was implemented, that there would be a golden at bat. So it's worth a read for sure.
So here's the idea. If you have not seen or read this, The Athletic has it written out. I'm sure a lot of the other aggregator sites have picked it up from there, because on a podcast recently, on John Oran's podcast, Rob Manfred discussed how the owners' meeting brought up discussion of potential rules changes and how some ideas are being talked about. And he said one of them, there was a little buzz around it at an owners' meeting, was the idea of a golden at bat. What's a golden at bat? It would be one card, so to speak, that each manager would be able to utilize one time in a game.
Is it a golden card?
I would hope.
I would hope so too, for the sake of the theme.
Yeah, it'd be really dumb
Right.
if it was like pink or something, like golden card.
Although handing an umpire a pink slip would be kind of funny.
That would, well, that's different. Yeah, then you just get run.
That's the golden card. No, it's not.
It's a pink
This
Outta
is
here.
for you.
You're outta here,
This is for
right.
you.
That's
See you
right.
later. Absolutely. So, and when, I don't know if there'd be a literal card, but the manager would indicate the time for the strategy to be utilized. It can only happen one time per game, but it could happen any time during the game where you could then bat out of order. And basically, from what they talked about, duplicate a hitter, basically clone a hitter. So in a scenario, you're facing that team up north, and there's one out in the inning, and suddenly Will Smith gets on, and Tommy Edman reaches base, and Andy Pajes gets on, and the bases are loaded with one out, but Austin Barnes, for some reason, two catchers are playing in this scenario.
Miguel Rojas.
Right. Miguel Rojas is up, and instead, Dave Roberts says, nope, I've got the golden ticket, and he turns it in, and poof, Miguel Rojas becomes Shohei Ohtani. And now Shohei Ohtani's batting ninth. And let's say Shohei walks and loads the bases. Then poof, Rojas turns up at first base where Ohtani would have been, because guess who's up again? Shohei Ohtani to lead off the inning.
That was my first question about this. So, say Tatis is up and Tatis strikes out, and then Tatis gets to go again, and Tatis hits a home run because he's got the golden ticket. I guess you just go 2 times in a row if you need to.
Can't wait for the box scores.
Or you're like the 3-hitter and then the 8-hitter, and then you go back to your regular lineup. Yeah, the box score is a mess at that point, but yeah.
Can't wait for the guy got out twice the same inning.
It does,
without batting to the order.
Right.
Are we to the point where we're speaking? Are we explaining?
That's the explanation.
You would think, as I love / hate, but love the eye wash, you would think I would love this. I do not like it. I think you put it in the All-Star game. I think it's a fun little gimmick for the All-Star game. It messes with the stats. Part of the reason you love baseball is you don't get to choose who comes up when, except for your bench players. And then that guy's got to stay in the game. So you or whatever you do after that, obviously matters in the domino effect of it all. But you don't get to choose who comes to the plate. And a lot of times the hero that you didn't realize was a hero becomes a hero. Like your 7, 8, 9 player does something amazing. Or back in the day, the pitcher would hit a home run or get a timely hit to drive that last run across. That is part of the beauty of baseball. I don't really care for this whole golden snitch, golden ticket, golden whatever that we're talking about.
It's just, I think from a strategy standpoint, it's intriguing, but at the same time, it's, how much are you going to ruin the actual sport, to get like a couple more eyeballs on your sport. I don't think
it's going to fundamentally change the sport.
I don't think it's going to get the people that you think it's going to get to watch your sport. And I've said the same thing about all the other rules that they put in. Even though some of the rules have been decent for us actual baseball fans.
Pitch clock, great.
Yes.
I don't want to even say decent, great.
And most managers who hated that in the beginning love it now.
Yeah.
Players, managers alike.
Right. I wasn't super huge on the pitch clock either, but I don't think that made a bunch of non-fans fans all of a sudden.
Right. And I just, if you're going to do that, then it puts a lot more stress on a reliever or pitcher because you're obviously accounting now for the hero of the game, every game to come up to the plate. But also it's kind of boring in a way. Okay, golden at bat time. Here comes Aaron Judge, Soto. Here comes, or here comes Shohei Ohtani. Or it's that's why you have a lineup. That's why you're trying to fit the best 9 players to the plate and hoping for the best throughout the top and bottom of the lineup. And if you're going to do that, then you might as well let a pitcher, but then screw the 3-batter minimum.
Yeah,
you better let a pitcher come into the game at some point in the game whenever he wants and then leave.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Well, that would need a counter rule. You'd have to have the golden ticket. You can bring in anyone you want to face the golden ticket because 3-batter minimum out the window, because otherwise you're locking in.
And then you bring in the golden arm with the golden ticket.
The golden arm.
Right.
And then it's basically
and
what you were doing before you put in all the rules.
Yes.
It was like what you used to do with pinch hitters. And let's put them up and let's take it back. Let's put them up, let's take them back. Same thing with the pitching. And then you're playing that game as well.
I love it for the All-Star game. Do it for the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well just make the All-Star.
Banana ball.
Just let the All-Star teams, play banana ball or men's softball. I mean, there's a situation potentially Let's say Aaron Judge comes up to bat with one out, the bases are loaded, and you haven't used the golden whatever, and he punches out, and then you just have him go again. You have to face him twice in a row. I mean, that's highly possible in this situation.
No, these are the things that would happen.
Just turn the ball into a snitch.
We got to
Catch
get
the
this guy out
snitch.
twice.
On one level, and I want to be clear, I'm 100%
against that. Does that count as multiple
that.
batters on a 3-batter minimum if it's the same guy twice?
I want to open my mind to it. I understand, hey, you've got to try to get other players, other fans in. We were talking in the break, though, if you want to fundamentally change, you might want to look at more implementing a salary cap or a salary floor or versus the golden at bat.
Yeah, you're trying to change
Yes, thank you.
Like if you're trying to make the game better, which I am open to. But not that.
They're trying to drastically change their own sport instead of just embracing what their sport is and trying to make their own sport better. And it's like I saw on social media this week, Josh Pate, does college football stuff. He tweeted out with this. He has no reason to comment on baseball, being the college football guy. He's like, this is for all sports. We need to stop having people that don't like sports make rules for sports.
Yes.
It's 100%. Like, it's true for all sports. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of soccer, but you don't want me making rules for soccer to make it more entertaining for myself.
Right.
That's going to take away the love affair.
You're the last person I should ask for that.
Right, exactly.
Except for that one clock that they didn't have. There was the
extra clock, the extra time.
There was some time clock that they didn't have on the field. They didn't have the technology or something. That was weird. Some tournament.
Oh, that was the thing that Craig was bitching about, right?
Okay,
they didn't have the VAR. They didn't have the VAR.
Yeah,
my thing would be like, well, you run around 3 miles in a soccer game. Why don't you just run 3 miles, run 1.5 miles there, 1.5 miles back, and do a penalty kick shootout? That'd be way more entertaining than soccer.
Yeah.
People are like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? But that would be entertaining to me, right? I just want to see him do a penalty kick shootout, not this, back and forth kicking of the ball. You could do the same thing with a lot of sports. I mean, could you imagine if soccer, who has limited subs, right? They have limited sub rules. If they were like, we're going to do hockey rules. We're just going to do free subs. We're going to do line changes to have fresh legs.
Out. And so Messi just keeps subbing in at the midfield line every time the ball gets across midfield.
Right. That would be stupid. People would be like, all soccer fans would be like,
you just described indoor, by the way.
But indoor's more like,
indoor.
It's more like hockey.
Yes, it is.
That's kind of like hockey anyway. But seriously, you would have these rules. And now all of a sudden, Brings Brennan might watch soccer, but then Craig's like, why am I watching
ridiculous.
This is getting ridiculous. It's the same thing with the NBA and rules. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the NBA, but I do like basketball. And we've talked about, well, maybe they should have a 4-point line because everything just turned into a 3-point con. Stop trying to fix your game. It's like sometimes your game doesn't need to be fixed. If you want to change the way it's played, maybe you incentivize things differently.
Well, I mean, I always believe in continuous improvements.
Yeah.
And you're a gigantic NFL fan. The NFL changes its rules more than any league ever.
And they need to stop doing that as well.
Well, okay. So, I mean, just with that as a template,
but some of them
right?
did help. Some of the rules changes have helped.
Sure. Absolutely.
The ones that don't drastically affect the game.
This is the most radical idea that's ever been proposed, and it's not even really a proposal.
Of baseball.
Yeah, it's a float. It's not a proposal. It's a trial balloon.
And he's intentional about that. Manfred is doing that intentionally.
Right.
Oh, just dropping it in a podcast. He's doing that so it gets floated out there, and he kind of sees and hears the feedback, and so do other owners.
Well, it's the single most anti-competitive rule change I've ever seen proposed in my life, because it's the thing that at first, okay, I understand the philosophy behind it. The philosophy behind it is at the end of an NBA game, the star takes the shot. It's not the 16th guy on the bench that takes the shot.
The quarterback's
with
driving
the most minutes or the
down.
least minutes.
Right. Your best players.
Yeah,
are
Josh Allen
making the
doesn't
move.
have to defer to the left tackle for the final play of the fourth quarter, right? But those are different sports, so stop comparing them to baseball, dummy, because there's no similarity between a game where you pass a ball between each other and a game where you individually come up to the plate. The lineup is the fundamental basis upon which the whole sport is born. You have to build it. You have to start it at the top and cycle through it 1 through 9 and then get back to the top again.
There is so much that is individual about baseball that sometimes to call it a team sport, you're like, it is a team sport, but it's so individualized that to take that essence away, because a lineup is a team thing. A lineup, you are a team. You are passing that baton. If you take that away and you individualize that even more, you're ruining the essence of baseball. I mean, you're making that person more important. And we all know, of course, there are players within a lineup that are quote unquote more important or more dynamic or have more of a presence or more production, whatever. But you're taking away what is like the fundamental root of a team, that team element in baseball.
Let's take a break and come back and talk about it just a little bit more, because I don't think people have even thought about what would happen if you actually had a rule like this. And I want to explain what I said, because what I said, I think, was a little bold. I said it's the most anti-competitive rule. I want to explain what I mean by that, how anti-competitive it would be if you had a golden at bat. Because on the surface, you go, no, wait, everyone's got a star player. That's going to be great for everybody. Hang on. Let's talk about it a little bit more when we come back. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fans, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Andy and Elsten back with you. December Sports Talk Radio is all about having some trial balloon that we get to kick around and then puncture.
I don't want to totally hate on it. I think we could try to find maybe some things that would be good about it. I hope we're not being too close-minded about it, but I just think in this case, there's other things they can do to make the game better.
Well, what would be the exciting thing? It's very straightforward. It is an absolute ironclad guarantee. Well, you know what? As I say it, it's not true. I was going to say it's an ironclad guarantee that the team's best player will hit in the ninth inning. But that's not true because you could utilize the golden ticket in the fourth inning.
Yes.
If it was an absolutely crucial situation and you had Austin Hedges was up, and you had an automatic out at the plate, you wanted to swap him for Jose Ramirez in Cleveland.
The base is loaded. You want to try to get some runs across.
Yeah. I mean, so it would be a strategic thing. So, okay, what would be good? Strategy would be good, right? The fact that there would be this whole thing. When do you use it? Is it,
who is it going to be?
Right.
Can it be different every game? Is it, which I imagine it could be. It could be game to game basis. I think for the beginning, at least for a while, it would have a novelty effect of being something exciting. Oh, when's the golden at bat going to be? You could bet on it for all you betting folks. What inning is that going to be? I'm trying to find the good. I do think that novelty would wear off. I do.
But I believe it's anti-competitive by design because all the things that you grew up hearing about baseball are inverted by the golden hitter, the golden at-bat. There's no one guy that's bigger than the team. Well, that's not true anymore.
Yeah.
There's one guy on every team that's going to be the golden guy. And so he's going to then have an expectation that the biggest at-bats are going to go to him every game. In fact, I would suspect that very quickly it would become a contracted
100%
issue. If I'm Juan Soto's negotiations, all those teams would be like, well, you're our golden hitter.
Forget late and close situations.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little stat line for GAB.
Right.
Golden at bat.
Yeah.
And what
I get all
there?
the golden at bats all year.
And what's your average there?
Right.
How many runs are you driving across?
Oh, it would become a metric for sure. Yeah. Also, here's a knock-on effect they never thought of. The person who gets golden at-batted for the most in baseball.
You're dispensable.
That would be a stat. Which player on the team is getting subbed out of their rightful at-bat over and over for the golden batter, right? Well, that's an obnoxious little, scarlet letter that you get to carry around as a player. But I find this fundamentally anti-competitive because what is going to be the effect of instituting a golden at-bat? It is going to be what already exists, but is even now more stratified of the highest paid hitter, the best teams, the highest paid hitter, and you just can't avoid them. So it's no longer about, hey, we got to do a great job in the 8th so we don't face Ohtani in the 9th. Right. Well, too bad. You're going to face him anyway.
Right. Or the way we talked about it so much with the Padres and the Dodgers in the postseason, you don't want to let guys come up to the plate. You want to take care of it in that inning before Ohtani is hitting again.
Right.
You want to make sure that he's not coming up to the plate with runners on. And so if you can take care of that and he leads off the next inning, okay, you don't have any guys on base, you've limited the damage he can do. But if you've got some guys on base and now he can hit 9th and 1st, and if he doesn't do it when he's hitting 9th, he can go back and try again because he's hitting leadoff. That gives him 2 tries to go ahead and drive some runners in.
And if every team had an Ohtani, maybe that'd be okay. But I'll tell you what, in Pittsburgh, when Brian Reynolds keeps coming up as their golden hitter, it ain't going to be quite as thrilling. Just imagine back a few years, oh, well, here comes Chase Headley for the golden at bat. Oh, well, we got Carlos Quentin ready for our golden at bat. Jan Hervis Solarte is waiting as our golden hitter. Not all golden hitters are built the same, right? So that's what I mean by anti-competitive.
Can you imagine the production around it? The lights go down low and now there's gold. There's gold everywhere in the stadium. Gold shines down on the hitter. There's gold. showers of
just gold showers
of tickets raining down, balls, things like that.
Foul.
I'm talking in the stadium. So I'm saying this is we've gone back to Willy Wonka land and such.
So it's never, please never. This is an absolute disruption of Major League Baseball. And so many of the greatest moments in the history of Major League Baseball have come from the happenstance of a player meeting a moment. I mean,
the unlikely hero.
Right. Bucky Dent in the 1978 playoff, Mark Lemke walking it off, Francisco Cabrera for the Braves chasing in Sid Bream. Like, he would have just been replaced by Chipper Jones. That moment would have never happened because it would have just been Chipper instead.
Daniel Camarena. Of Max Scherzer.
Sure. I mean, Grisham in the playoffs, right? Like, it wasn't in the ninth inning, but the point is made, right? Here's one, David Freese. David Freese is a hero in St. Louis forevermore for the game that MLB Network plays like 74 times a year. It just always shows up on our screen of Game 6 when he, with 2 outs in the ninth, drove the ball over Nelson Cruz's head in right field and off the wall and turned series over into Cardinals back in the series. Cardinals come back to win. David Freese is a hero forever because of that. He would never have hit. Albert Pujols would have hit. Guaranteed. So Freese's moment just never exists. Yeah. And for a whole strata of players, those moments, those heroic moments, will just never exist. Creates a whole subculture within baseball's already stratified subculture of like, well, yeah, you're a hitter, but you're not a golden hitter. Like, you're one of the guys that the golden hitter hits for. You're not a golden hitter yourself. A whole thing like, well, what am I if I'm... It's ridiculous. Adam brings up Kirk Gibson. Kirk Gibson would be the guy that would be a golden hitter for the '88 Dodgers. He was the best hitter on the team. That was a golden moment, but he was an injured player coming off the bench. I'm thinking of all the other ones, all the other great. Bill Mazeroski. Mazeroski wouldn't have hit in that spot when he walked it off for the Pirates. They would have had their best hitter come up to the plate.
It's part of the beauty of the game. You have to play that lineup the way that it's structured, except for your bench players, right? But that's not a golden at bat. That's a strategic thing inside of a moment that once you use that guy, he doesn't pop back into the lineup to hit again 2 batters later or whatever he is. So I just, to me, it just kind of ruins the beauty of why baseball is a special sport. It is that sport where a guy gets to be a hero that maybe isn't intended to be a hero, or, you just have those moments where it's the randomness of it. You don't get to choose who's at the plate in a huge moment. How many times did we see it with Jackson Merrill? I mean, it just happened that way, and that's what made it so special. Like, oh, here he is. He's at the plate again.
Right.
He can hit that go-ahead or that tying home run. It just happened that way, right? So look, there's ways to look at this like, well, gosh, you get to see these amazing once-in-a-lifetime players more. But I also just think, to me, you ruin too much in the process.
I love how you brought it home on the local end. Because, again,
put the fries in the back.
We haven't, like the knock-on effects, the unintended consequences. Jackson Merrill hits 2 ninth-inning homers to tie games in a row. But the next time that the ninth inning rolls around, there's 2 runners on, there's 1 out, there's 2 outs, Jackson Merrill's coming up, and Manny's over there with his hand up going, no, I'm the golden hitter. This is the golden moment.
Yeah.
This is my at-bat. And then Schilt has to look at him and go, what about what Merrill did the last couple of games? I think he's the guy. Well, wait, but I'm the golden hitter.
Or he's got better numbers.
It's in my deal.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, Manny would be like, I don't want it. Like, he'd be like, let Jackson do it. Look at what Jackson did the last few games, but now I'm in this weird position where I'm supposed to be the guy, and, you want to be the golden hitter or whatever. You want to take that golden at-bat. But at the same time, you want to show your teammates you believe in your teammates, and these guys ride for each other, so.
But if it's in your deal,
yeah,
I'm the golden hitter.
If you're signing someone,
you know what I mean,
to sort of be that guy, right? Exactly.
Hey, hey, I'm Tatis. I'm the golden. I just put it on Manny. I'll put it on Toddy. Hey, I'm the golden hitter.
Yeah.
I want this at bat. Give it to me. I want it. Hang on. Merrill's just had 2 walk-off hits in a row. We like the platoon split this way. It could create clubhouse rifts. It could create issues within a team as well. But listen, all of that is to now, let's put it in a box, let's gift wrap it, and let's throw this box into the fire chute, dismiss it with prejudice, because what you said in the beginning of the first segment is what I'd love to finish the end of the second segment with. Rob, salary floor, salary cap, better
Even just
structure.
a salary floor. If you're talking about, hey, I want to fix baseball, don't let the A's spend $60 million. Don't let the Rays or whatever they spend $50 million. Like, you should at least put in a salary floor where teams have to spend a minimum amount of money to form a competitive roster.
Television deals. Nationalize it. It's your dream. Make it your priority. Never mind all this other crap. None of this is going to fix the game. Nationalizing your TV deals, creating a salary floor, creating a uniform set salary structure, eliminating deferred contracts, eliminating a situation where one team has a $330 billion valuation and can do whatever they want, and another team can't possibly do the same thing. And then people go, well, why don't you just do the same thing? Like, it's ridiculous. These are structural, endemic problems for Major League Baseball. Or we could, futz around. I almost said a much worse word. We could futz around with the golden snitch and the special hitter and the magic moment and
the golden arm and the golden outs.
Give me a break. The
golden tickets.
Fix the problems that are right there in front of you. Don't add the golden toilet to the bathroom. Just fix the plumbing, because the plumbing's the problem. It's not the color of the seat. It's the plumbing.
Can you imagine, how during the playoffs it was 4 hitters until Shohei Ohtani? It would be the golden at bat. Shohei Ohtani could be anywhere.
Anytime. Gold, gold, gold.
It would be up on your screen. When will the golden at bat take place?
A little Shohei with a golden hat just keeps peeking out of the box. Is it my turn? Is it my turn? Golden time? No? Okay. When we come back, who's left for the Padres behind the plate? Well, Luis Camposano's there.
He sure is.
Big day for the Sullivan household.
That's right.
But who else? Is there anyone else? We'll let you know who's out there when we come back. It's Andy and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. So while you're listening, you can see what you missed. I mean, you'd hear what you missed, wouldn't you? Anyways, you can click to listen on demand. So if you missed a guest or a feature or something crazy that happened, we've got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app. Search 97.3 The Fan. Tap earlier today, get started. Or tap leave a voice message. Do that. There's so much stuff.
So much interaction.
Technology. The Odyssey app. It's incredible. Check it out. Free to download, free to use. Yeah. Okay, so Kyle Higashioka is gone. Signed a 2-year deal with Texas. It's got a club option for a 3rd year. If they don't exercise that, there's $1 million buyout. So it winds up being a $13.5 million guaranteed deal for Higashioka for his age 35, 36, and potentially age 37 seasons.
Yeah, and again, he's not their starter. He's sharing time, and he's essentially a backup / split time catcher. Someone,
Will Holder, good Padres fan, I saw him on Blue Sky yesterday, put up the link to the Rangers deal, and then he wrote as his caption, like, I don't know what plan B is. Like that, with the dots and all of that. Like, I don't know. And my response to him was, repeat the process. And they meant, what? You mean get Juan Soto and trade him? Like, yeah, repeat that process. That'd be great. No, the process that brought you, think about this, Victor Caratini into Jorge Alfaro.
Yeah.
Into Gary Sanchez. Into Kyle Higashioka. For 4 years running, the Padres' number 1 catcher has been, right? Like Austin Nola, not great. Campy last year, not great. But the backup has been really good for 4 years running. And 4 years ago, people didn't think Victor Caratini was going to be an important part of the team. And then at the end of the year, they didn't want to get rid of him. But he left, and you said, oh, no, what are we going to do? And then you got Jorge Alfaro. And a few walk-offs later, he was the most popular dude in San Diego. And then he wasn't on the playoff roster. What happened? Oh, no, what are we going to do? 2023. Legitimately, it looked like, what are we going to do? We've got nobody. Gary Sanchez shows up, poof, appears off of the Mets waiver wire. 17 homers that year. And then you get Higashioka, Mr. 10 home runs, and he hit 17 last year again and pretty much takes the starting job. So maybe we haven't been great at identifying our number 1 along the way, but we've found that number 2 over and over again. So I'm not worried because it seems to me, Annie, that AJ knows this market better than we do, and he's had this cupboard of players under inspection for a while.
And he's typically done a good job doing that, finding a guy for a year, finding a guy for a year and a half to step in as a catcher and who becomes, like we talked about in the last segment, an unlikely hero many times, right? I mean, we all know about how many walk-offs Jorge Alfaro had, didn't end up pitching in the postseason when the Padres made it. Then the Padres had Campusano this year, who didn't end up pitching in the postseason, but they went to Elias Diaz, who they felt comfortable with, and it ended up just being Kyle Higashioka, right? But it just... You're right. I mean, look, he can go out there and essentially he has to do it again. Go find someone who is going to be a serviceable catcher. With PitchCom these days, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit more like the pitchers have more control clearly over calling their own pitches when they need to or having that communication. But you still want someone who works well with the staff. Luckily, you have great pitchers in there that, I mean, Joe Musgrove for how many years running has brought catchers up to speed, I feel like. And you've got other good pitchers in there that kind of work together in tandem to make sure that they're bringing catchers up to speed and trying to find a dynamic that works for them, because you do need to have that relationship and that trust. And especially with a pitching staff that might be a little bit more green on the back end.
Yeah.
You're going to work together to find that. And so will Ruben Niebla and everybody there to do that. So he'll have to do that again for sure and find that guy. What I'm interested in is, where do they view Luis Campusano?
Yes.
Because this front office has always been very high, even during his struggles, on Luis Campusano. And are they looking at him as a backup now? Are they looking at him as a starter? Or, where does he fit in their plans? That's what I would like to know about.
He's in the winter leagues.
He is.
Hitting 230 with a walk and a homer, which is basically what he's done. Like, believe me, I remember it was January and February that I was dreaming on this year for Luis Campusano. I thought this was a critical year in the young man's career, his age 25 season, and his first direct look at playing time in big league baseball. Coming into this year, he never had a direct path to playing time. He started, remember when we did our first best of? Like, he was one of the team's best hitters for the first 15 games of the year.
Yes, and he's had those streaks and those moments and that potential. They're very high on what Luis Campusano, at least in the past, they have been very high on what he can be. I mean, look at where they drafted him. Look at the Padres kind of making him their catcher of the future when they took him. I mean, he was the Ethan Salas of the time. And it just hasn't materialized. So has that front office let go of that dream? Are they looking to find a veteran catcher that they're going to bring in more as the number one? Are they going to let them compete it out in spring training? Are they just kind of looking at it kind of more of what happened in 2024? We're going to ride with this guy, but we're going to get our eyes and get in some, a veteran guy that we're taking a flyer on, and whoever's the hot hand, we're going to ride.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. I mean, I don't think that puts them in a seriously de-advantageous position. I think that we've seen that work in the past, and it can work for them in the future. But Luis Campusano is an opportunity cost for them at some point. They still have years of control on him.
Right.
Where do you, where do you put him in the front office's mind? Where does he slot for you? Like, what is your plan with him?
Well, the problem with Campy is that at the end of the year, Luis Campusano was unplayable. And we talked about it on this show. His defense deteriorated below even the level of maladequacy that you could put up with a poor defensive catcher who you thought his bat was a carrying tool, and so you're going to put up with his bad defense. Like, the ultimate example was Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza was never a good defensive catcher. He was always a bad defensive catcher with a bad arm, poor ability to frame, poor ability to block, but he was a Hall of Fame hitter, and so everyone was completely happy to have his lousy glove and his great bat in the lineup. Of course, there's various gradations of that, and then you get to Luis Campusano, whose 230 bat with 8 homer power was being left in the lineup, while he was literally, at the end of the year, conceding 2 bases per game on balls that were going off of his glove, that were going between his legs. He wasn't set up. He's not fundamental. And we already know he can't catch Waldron. He doesn't develop a big rapport. Like, they had him catch Cease. That worked, and then it didn't. Musgrove was a guy who was carrying him, not the other way around. It was like, don't worry, Campy, I'll let you catch me. I'll tell you what pitches I'm going to throw.
He's worked, giving Campusano credit, he has worked hard to strengthen what the weaknesses were for him, which, especially coming in early, were an ability to work with the pitching staff, maybe some communication, and I just mean in terms of getting on the same page. He worked to stay in San Diego, to be part of the team in the offseason, to stick around and work. I mean, it was Joe that really helped bring him up to speed in the beginning. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of pitchers now, or at least some pitchers, who would prefer to call their own pitch comm calls and would prefer to have more of a presence there. But a lot of pitchers I talk to still, they trust their catcher. And I do think that they trust Luis Campusano. The question is mentally, right? Like, mentally, where is he? How is he about being demoted last year? Where is his confidence now?
Yeah.
And then all those things that you were working on, you essentially said to him last year, you didn't cut it. We didn't even keep you around in the postseason. So now are they going to him and being like, but we still think that you've got it, and if you just work on this, this, and this. I mean, I think Luis Campusano, maybe he will be a late bloomer. Maybe he will be someone that's going to hit double-digit home runs and have some pretty good defense behind the plate later in his career. Can the Padres afford to wait for that? Would that be with another team because he needs a better change of scenery? Maybe this just has been a rocky road for him. I do think he's trying, and I think he wants to be that guy. And I think that the pitching staff works with him fine. I just think it's like, how many more years are you going to let that experiment roll out? slash,
what's the cost to do better? Because
and can you afford that if you're this year's Padres?
Okay, and that's where we get to the final 5 minutes or 6 minutes of this segment. Kyle Higashioka was listed literally at the top of the free agent catcher list. He gets 2 years, $13 million. Travis d'Arnaud was listed second. He got 2 years, $12 million. Okay, so Those are two 35 and 36-year-old catchers. The next three guys on the list are Danny Jansen, who's 30, Gary Sanchez, welcome back, who's 32, and Carson Kelly, who's 30. So if you think that those guys are going to get less money than what Higgy got, you got another thing coming. They're better positioned as younger players in the market. I would take them out of the Padres' range. So now you're talking about, first off, I think Elias Diaz. If you've developed any rapport, you let the market sort. You let the guys who are going to get paid. You let scarcity of positions start to turn the market back toward the clubs and away from the players. And then you find one of these guys that's waiting at the end of the year. Diaz, Jan Gomes, James McCann, Tucker Barnhart, Grandal, Yasmani Grant. These are the type of players. One of them won't get the deal they want, and that's the guy you get on a one-year deal.
And that might have been their motivation, not just to have him in the postseason last year, which he ended up being there with the team, but that might have been their motivation for getting him from the Rockies when they did too. You know, obviously they needed another catcher because they sent Luis Campusano down, but hey, this is a little bit of an audition. You know we might not be able to sign Kyle Higashioka next year. We know his numbers have gone up and he's going to be hitting a good free agency. You know, for the first time in his career, he's going to get some good money or better money than he's gotten before. So we're going to try to line this up where we can have a backup plan. And Elias Diaz may very well be it for them.
But my guess, purely a guess, my guess is that the Padres starting catcher is on another team's roster right now. I think we're going to trade to get a catcher.
Who are you trading, Craig?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't figured that part out.
It does make me wonder, are we not giving enough thought, and we have given the thought, I know you have, to, and you've talked about it with Braden and myself as well, to, I don't think it would be King, and I don't think it'd be Cease, but would it be King, Cease, Arise? Maybe. Would there be a trade for one of them that is along the lines of a Soto trade? He's obviously not Soto, but where you've got to move someone that you would rather keep,
right? Because
you just need more pieces back than you can afford to go get on the market.
That's what I'm wondering. You know, where is that move? Suarez, Cronenworth, you know, there's certain assets that you could theoretically move. Moving Suarez would hurt, right? All-star closer.
Yeah, Suarez, Cronenworth,
right?
The other ones.
A guy who you have as a rock at the back of your bullpen. And if you delete him, you have to replace him, right? And, you know, I mean, Adam could slide up, Estrada could slide up, but still, nonetheless, you're going to have to do something, or you're going to have to spend into the second apron. It's either or. It's either or. The dithering around doing nothing, that's not going to be it. That's not going to be it. So I believe the starting catcher is unsuspectingly on someone else's roster right now, and that AJ is the guy, tireless with a trick up both sleeves and other places, as Mike Schultz says in a quote we'll play next hour. You know, he's identified where there's a catcher that's maybe being a little underused, little undervalued, a la Higashioka, a la all those other guys we talked about, and that's going to be a target quietly in the next month or two.
Yeah, next month or two. Or he could wait. He could wait and see how do the chips fall, get a team that's maybe desperate for a starting pitcher or someone who gets an injury early on in spring training, and try to package something just like he got when he got Dylan Cease late in spring training. So these are all things that, depending on, you know, who they've moved or what they have by the time spring training starts and then in January hits, because you're also looking at, like, if you're talking about like a guy who just hasn't been signed, a guy coming in on a minor league deal, you know, the other third option is you're doing that for a lot of positions. For your left fielder, if you don't get Jurickson Profar, for your catcher, I mean, there's so many positions that you'd be like, well, let's try to get a diamond in the rough. And how many positions can you afford to do that at?
It's, hey, endure and let go. I'm going to come back to that. I mentioned it at 10. I'm going to say it again. Endure and let go. It's something you got to remember as a Padre fan in the offseason. Sometimes you have to endure the weeks of waiting, not knowing what's coming together, not having that joyous dopamine hit of the Padres are in on every player. The Padres are going to get this high-price contract. The Padres are going to get that high-price contract. And you also have the ability to let go and say, you know what? The odds are Kyle Higashioka won't hit as well next year as he did this year. We got the best playing of the card, and they're going to pay for the play that we made, and they're going to have to pay for it the next 2 years. Just like all the other play, I hope Jerkson is back, but like you got his best year for $1 million. Do you really want to pay $15 million to see if he can do it again? So sometimes you endure, you hang on, you're patient, and sometimes you let go.
Yeah, but you got to think about it. If you let these guys go, do you have someone better ready? If you let Cease go, do you have a starting rotation that is going to be as good as if you kept him? Like, they're going to be difficult decisions.
And that's why he gets paid the big bucks. Mm-hmm. And he sleeps like 17 minutes a day. If that. And why he loves Denny so much. Mm-hmm. Annie and Elsten, we got the 12 o'clock sports fix on the other end of this timeout. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We are at the halfway point of our radio program. It's Annie and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Annie Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, Braden Suprenant, all together in our Odyssey studios, rolling till 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris will check in from 2 to 6, and then a visit inside foreign territory. The country of Scraby, Scrabistan, the Scraby Chronicles. Have your passport ready from 6 to 7 tonight.
Is he going to complain about the golden bat?
Is he going to complain? You could have just stopped the sentence right there.
That's right. Well,
the answer is yes.
Well, we know that, but I just want to know specifically if that's something he would actually complain about.
Probably.
Or might he love it?
It's true. That seems like it's up Scrabistan's alley.
Yes. Like in Scrabanation, there's maybe golden.
Everything's
gold.
Everything, right.
Yes. just gold.
Streets are paved with gold.
Everywhere you look in Scrabistan, there's
it's
gold.
really dark, but then there's gold everywhere.
Yes.
Right.
Gold and darkness.
Yes. There's gold in them hills.
Oh, Lord. Okay, 12 o'clock Sports Fix. This is where we give you all the local, regional, and national news that you need, and we do it in one segment so that you've got your lunch hour covered. Here's Annie with baseball.
There will be no more deposits in the Higgy Bank. The Rangers announced the signing of catcher Kyle Higashioka to a 2-year contract. Yeah. He gets a deposit, yes. With a mutual option for 2027, reportedly worth $13.5 million. He earned $2.18 million in his final year of arbitration last season with the Padres, hitting a career-high 17 home runs and adding 3 more in the postseason. It is kind of crazy to think about how he had 3 home runs in the postseason.
That was nice.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
Yes. Thank you, Kyle Higashioka. Aroldis Chapman headed to the Red Sox in a 1-year, $10.75 million deal per reports. It's still pending a physical. The left-hander turned in a 3.79 ERA over 61 2/3 innings for the Pirates this year. He was signed as a setup option in front of David Bednar. He recorded 22 holds before taking over as closer for the struggling Bednar late in the season. He picked up 14 saves, his highest total in 3 years, and only surrendered 5 leads. If he is getting $10.75 million, Braden asked a good question. How much will Tanner Scott be getting per year?
More.
A lot.
More.
Yes. The Kansas City Royals plan to stay with Diamond Sports Group as their TV broadcaster for the 2025 season, sources told ESPN. Games will be available via cable and streaming through the FanDuel Sports Network app or Amazon. Royals were the final MLB team to choose a TV partner, and they chose to go back to Diamond Sports at least for 2025. And that is it for baseball.
Over to Braden for the football story.
We got some NFL news for you before I dive into some college basketball later on tonight. NFL suspended Houston Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair 3 games for repeated violations of player safety rules after his hit to the head of Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence on Sunday. John Runyon, the NFL's vice president of policy and rules administration, announced the suspension Tuesday, adding in a letter to Al-Shaair that the league deemed the hit unacceptable and that its continued disregard for rules governing player safety will not be tolerated. Al-Shaair was ejected in the second quarter of Houston's victory Sunday over Jacksonville after his violent blow to the face mask of Lawrence while the quarterback was sliding to the ground, causing the Jaguars star to suffer a concussion. So he will be out for 3 games minimum on the suspension. He is appealing said suspension. A couple of finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Super Bowl winning Green Bay Packers coach Mike Holmgren was chosen as the coaching finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2025 on Tuesday. In the seniors category, former Packers wide receiver Sterling Sharp, Maxie Bond, and linebacker who was a 9-time Pro Bowl selection in the 1960s for the Eagles and Rams, and Jim Tyre, gigantic offensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs from the 60s and 70s were all named finalists. Tyre's selection comes with controversy as he died in a murder-suicide of his wife in 1980, but senior committee voters and his family members lobbied publicly for his induction. So that's from the senior list, most notably on there, Mike Holmgren and Sterling Sharp. As for the San Francisco 49ers, some bad news for their running back core. As they departed Buffalo in the wee hours of the Monday morning, they were bracing for the possibility that running back Christian McCaffrey played his final game for them this season because of a right knee injury. What the Niners didn't know was that not only were they going to lose McCaffrey for the season's final 5 games, placing him on the IR, but Jordan Mason, McCaffrey's backup, was also likely finished for 2024. On Monday afternoon, all of that became Niners' new reality as Coach Kyle Shanahan announced that McCaffrey's PCL would keep him out for about 6 weeks and that Jordan Mason suffered a high ankle sprain in the loss of the Bills. Both players are expected to land on injured reserve, according to Shanahan. So tough news for the Niners, who just continue to lose players left and right to injuries this season. But that's it for the NFL. I'll be back with some college basketball next.
All right, let's start with our local team report. San Diego Wave FC Jill Ellis is out as the head of the 3-year franchise, moving on to become the head of football at FIFA. The Wave made the announcement via social media this morning. Under new ownership, Wave are expected to make a head coaching announcement quite soon, possibly this week, and now have an opportunity to rechart the direction of the front office going forward. The San Diego Clippers host the Stockton Kings tonight at Front Wave Arena, looking to bounce back from a 19-point home loss to the Kings on Sunday. This is the last home game for the Clippers until December 27th. They go on a 5-game road trip after this. So if you want to catch the SD Clips, you want to go today. Otherwise, it's after Christmas. The San Diego Sockers also play at Front Wave Arena, or they will. They haven't made any announcements with their MASL season beginning Saturday in Tacoma. However, sharp indoor soccer fans noted on the MASLsoccer.com website yesterday that basically the two top young players on the Texas Outlaws, striker Luis Morales and midfielder Sebastian Mendez, were added to the league roster on the league website. Both of those players would greatly enhance a Sockers attack that is talented but certainly gaining age. The MASL also announced its playoff format for this upcoming 2024-25 season. Important to note in San Diego because it's going to be here. The playoffs will be at Front Wave Arena. This is new. They've never done this before. 8 of the 12 teams in the league will make the playoffs. Those 8 teams are all going to turn up in Oceanside. The quarterfinals and semifinals will be played in Oceanside April 4th, 5th, and 6th. Then that'll get you down to 2 teams, and then the finals will be a best of 3 played in the 2 home markets. So for San Diego, it's a garden path.
Yeah.
Because they'd be at home
Right.
for every single game, including getting to the finals if they made the finals.
Yeah.
So good for us. Not good for the other teams in the league. They'd all have to come here. But
good for maybe the tourism or hotels.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
hopefully if they do, market it and such. Yeah. And that's what's going on with local teams. Let's move to the NBA tonight. Final night, NBA Cup group play. What does that mean? It means it's not December 3rd. It's a playoff night in the NBA. Excitement. Here's where we stand in the NBA Group Cup. Who's in? Who's in already? Well, glad you asked. The Hawks won East Group C. The Rockets won West Group A. The Warriors won West Group C. Those 3 teams are in. Tonight, the Magic and the Knicks play. Winner takes the group. They're both 3-0 in East Group A. East Group B, the Bucks and the Pistons. Yeah, the Detroit Pistons, worst team in the league last year. They're both 3-0 in Group Cup play. They're both playing tonight. Their winner gets the group. And tonight in West Group B, the Spurs and the Suns play. If the Spurs win, they win the group. But if the Suns win, Oklahoma City gets the group. The Lakers are out of it. There are 2 wild card spots. Those will be determined, one for each conference. It's going to come down to point differential. It's going to be wackadoodle crazy. It could be the Blazers. It could be the Clippers. It could be the Mavericks. It could be the Grizzlies. It could be a lot of teams. Let's be honest. It could be a lot of teams. Nonetheless, the games tonight are going to be played like playoff games, especially the 2 that I highlighted. So tune on in. It's a great League Pass Tuesday night. Milwaukee and Detroit. That is at 4 o'clock today, at 4:30, Orlando and New York, and at 6 o'clock, San Antonio, Phoenix. Really the key games to be watching tonight in the NBA Cup.
It should be fun.
it should be fun. Last night there were 4 games that were played, including the Lakers getting blown off the floor by the Timberwolves 109-80 last night.
I heard LeBron's playing every game.
Yeah, it's not working out. Went 4 for 16 last night. LeBron has the longest streak in the history of the NBA of scoring at least 10 in every game. Last night he took 16 shots to get his 10 points. He finished 4 for 16, and he's missed 19 straight threes.
I mean, the streak is impressive, but sometimes the road to get there, not so much, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, sometimes you get blown out in the NBA.
Yeah, that's true.
They played in Utah the night before, and then they fly to Minnesota and play. They got their ass kicked. It happens, and it happens all the time. Over to the NHL. Last night there were 3 games. New Jersey, Toronto, and Dallas won. The Rangers, the Maple Leafs, and the Hockey Club lost. There are 10 games today on the ice of the NHL, including an OG6 matchup between Detroit and Boston. Our Southern California teams are off today. That's it for me. Back to Braden for the college story.
College basketball in action this week for the local teams. USD will be at Arizona State tonight at 6 o'clock. You can watch that on ESPN+. Arizona State is a 20.5-point favorite over the Toreros in Tempe, Arizona. That is the only game for local teams tonight. Coming up tomorrow in Division I college basketball, or maybe it's Thursday, San Diego State is going to play Fresno State. That is tomorrow. ESPN's thing was wiped out. But San Diego State at Fresno State tomorrow, 7:30. That game is on Fox Sports 1. UCSD will play on Thursday, and they will already have started, just like the Mountain West, conference play. We're already in conference play time.
Big West
in the
already?
In the Big West. UC San Diego will play UC Santa Barbara.
Let's go.
7 o'clock on Thursday
UC dominance must be established.
on ESPN+.
Gauchos falling, Tritons rising.
You want to? Is it like all the UCs are in it together? Make sure
That's
none of
it,
the
man.
make sure none of the Cal States win the Big West. Since
That's
it's half UCs, half Cal States, and one Hawaii, who's only going to be there for the 2 more years.
Just hanging out for a minute, like,
Yeah.
hey guys, I'm just still here. Yes,
They should have that, the UC Cal State Cup, where they where you finish the standings, get you points.
I'm all for it.
I'll take the UCs in that. The UCs are a little bit better than the Cal States.
Well, I hate them
this
all
point in time.
because there can only be one in my mind.
There's only
and
one
it's
University of California.
San Diego, baby.
That's right. You guys all have the same colors and same fight songs. It's great.
It's factually true and a little bit awkward, but nonetheless, we persevere with our hatred and singularity.
That's right.
Back to you.
Anyway, the Tritons will play the Gauchos on Thursday. Coming up Saturday, all 3 teams will be in action. 2 of them against each other. USD will be at San Diego State, and the Tritons will host Cal State Bakersfield.
Hate them too.
Wow.
That's
Why not? I mean, why not?
They're lousy, Craig. There's no reason to hate them. But
That's
then
true.
if you lose to them, that gives you a reason
I
to
don't
hate
think
them.
of them at all. I'm
That's
like Don
right.
Draper in the elevator.
Bakersfield.
I can't stand you. I don't think of you at all.
What is Cal State Bakersfield's mascot, Annie? What are they called?
All I know about Bakersfield is we stopped there for gas on the way to Vegas. So it's the Bakersfield gas.
Bakersfield, last chance for gas.
Yes.
Roadrunners? I'd guess Roadrunners.
They are the Roadrunners.
The gas pumps.
They are the Roadrunners.
Oh, are they?
Bakersfield Roadrunners.
Let's go. I probably saw that at some point on a
We see
fence in Bakersfield.
We see a lot of Roadrunners in Alpine. Cute little things.
I bet.
Oh, they,
We've seen them in,
they went right across the driveways.
I've seen a couple in Scripps Ranch before. I'm like, you lost, buddy? I have seen one time. I did see. That's it for the sports fix.
Thank
one
you.
time I did see golfing in Palm Springs, a Roadrunner being chased by a coyote. Funniest thing.
Seriously?
Yeah, early in the morning
poor
on the golf
Roadrunner.
course. Roadrunners, gassing it. There's no Acme.
I was just going to say,
devices being used.
did a giant anvil fall out of the sky?
No, but the coyote was cruising and following the Roadrunner around.
Pretty
which is kinda
closely,
funny.
or
The Roadrunner's a lot faster than that
all right.
coyote.
Well, that's good. See,
Yeah. I don't
Yeah, I
get
have
any
seen that.
Roadrunners, but I get plenty of coyotes.
yeah, you
Out on
got
the-
to be careful.
I
The
had
mean
tons of-
streets of La Mesa.
My dad's Ring camera will catch coyotes or baby coyotes on the driveway all the time, and it's like, be careful when you're walking out to your car.
You know what Braden's ring camera catches?
People breaking into his house.
That's right.
I was just going to
Home
ask, with
invasions.
all your
Home
UCSD
invasions.
talk, if you ever left a UCSD party at 2 a.m. and went and popped into someone else's house
No,
on accident, but I don't
I've
think you
never
did.
have stayed in anyone's house in accident that wasn't their house. And I'm not saying that I never, overindulged when I was a young person or even a slightly older person, but I never wound up in Braden's sister's room by accident
Wow.
because,
would
or
not be
anyone
good.
else's sister's room or any other room of a house that I was unaware of. I've never done that.
The what was I gonna say on the coyotes? They run through. When those things are hungry, they're out in the day and they're cruising looking for a pet dog or a cat or something like that.
Dude, there's one that just hangs out at Mission Trails Golf Course during the summer.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. There was one that would just like loiter between the 9th and the 10th hole and just kind of chill.
Wiley.
There was a whole story in LA. Did you ever hear about that one? It was like Coyote 52 or whatever. I don't know. It had some name and it was in the hills there and everybody knew it. Like it was, and then it had to die for some reason. It just got too old, but it was like a very...
We all do.
Right.
We all do, Andy.
But they caught him and like it was a big story there, which was the weirdest thing to me, except it had become like the neighborhood coyote.
Yeah. You don't want a neighborhood coyote. You really don't.
My buddy's like, "What was that noise?"
Is that a mountain lion? Is that the same thing?
It's possible.
Is a coyote and a mountain lion the same thing?
No, they're
Oh,
not.
well,
They're
then never
definitely
mind. I'm
different.
talking
They're
about
definitely not the same
That
thing.
was a mountain lion that became like the neighborhood mountain lion.
You really don't
Okay.
want a neighborhood mountain lion either.
Neighborhood coug.
Yeah.
What about a neighborhood cougar?
Those are again.
They have
those
too
are
many of
instant
those in North
scratch.
County.
You can have Scratch.
Scratch is cool.
Scratch is fine. Scratch, you're cool. The rest of the cougars, not cool
They have
for neighborhoods.
If you have neighborhood cougars, the cougar den's probably the Kraken in Del Mar.
I don't know what it was. It was called P22. Yeah.
Just went over Andy's head. That was
No,
funny.
because I was looking at my mountain lion.
The cougar
Yeah.
den in North County, the Kraken, or Jimmy O's, or some other bar in Del Mar.
Yes, those are plenty of those.
That's where all the neighborhood cougars go.
When we come back after
You
this
have to watch
time
out
out,
for them too.
That's right. I think those are scarier than other cougars.
just depends on the situation, brother.
That's right.
When we
Much
return,
whiskey you've had.
Mike Schilt will be whistled for the first foul in his career on Annie and Elsten after this quote from Foul Territory is about to be
Or
played.
will AJ Preller make a big deal, get a big deal done at the winter meetings and pull something out of his
Pull
pants
something out of
and
somewhere.
then
Out of his
say-
pants? That's her
part of it.
second foul. Could have
Well,
been sleeve. You could've
Schilt's about to get his too. You must not. You got to hear this.
You gotta hear the
I've heard.
quote.
Yeah, when we
yes.
come back, Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, football fans, if you need the extra edge for game day, then you need to cash the ticket. That's the podcast for football junkies with new episodes every Thursday and Friday. Mike Valenti and Jim Costa are breaking down the biggest matchups, finding the best value on the board every single week. Cash the Ticket is the podcast to help you bet smarter on both pro and college games. So follow Cash the Ticket on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Andy and Elsten back with you. 12:24 is the time. Got our silly game coming up in our next segment. It's going to be Mind the Gap, the game of multi-generational trivia knowledge. We actually played the Mind the Gap board game at home at the Elsten house on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
How was that?
Well, it was nice because, my dad was there.
Right. So you have a Gen Z, a
Yes.
Boomer, and 2 Gen X's.
Yes.
Who did the best?
Well, what happened was my son James and I played each other, and every time there was a question that James didn't know because he's 13, if I knew it or Dad knew it, then he would get credit for the answer.
Okay.
So of course he won.
So you're playing yourself?
Yes. So I played you played yourself.
You played yourself.
It was a DJ Khaled moment for me on Thanksgiving. Yes, I played myself and won. Wow. So yes, it was fun though, and it was nice to have Dad there. And
Yeah, how'd your dad do?
I mean, he knew some of the answers
He was
for
into it?
boomery stuff.
like it.
So
We've done that in the past where we had enough though, so we had like a Boomer on each side,
Yeah.
millennial on each side. They kind of team deals. So somebody had like, when you got to that point of the board, because you're like stuck in the Boomer side for like the whole time. Like you go through ranges, right? So you're like you only have Boomer questions, in certain spots. You're just like hoping to make it through that one. So you're like, give me to Gen Z or like millennial that I know. So it's kind of fun when you play with the actual board game, but the way we do it's fun for the listeners.
yeah, we've got our radio variation of the game. So that's coming up. Once you hear the giant jingle bell ring at the end of the segment, that will officially open the lines, and then you can come on in
Did you fix your ball?
and compete.
Did you fix it?
No, it's here, and this is
Yeah.
the little red ribbon is.
I was
detached.
jerking the ball around too
And
much,
I foul on you.
and it broke.
Dropped your ball again.
And you broke it,
I did. I messed around with it too much,
and it's broken.
and
now.
it's broken, and it could be fixed. Well, I'm just gonna smush it down there and
Oh.
treat it like
There you
it's
go.
fixed.
Did you use glue for that? That's kind of
There's already glue. I just smooshed the glue into the glue.
The glue already dried out. You didn't have
The
anything
old
else.
glue.
No.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Nothing sticky to keep it set. Tape, maybe. We should
Let's
tape it
continue
together.
this entendre by bringing in one Mike Schilt
Big pause.
to the
Foul
conversation.
yourself, Braden.
Yeah, that's
okay.
two.
You
Referees
fouled
can't
yourself.
foul.
That's two. That's two. I'm bringing this segment.
If I foul out, the show ends. It's great.
That's a great point.
That's
Adam
right.
is
Adam's here. You can
Adam
take
is
over.
here.
Sorry, Adam, I fouled out.
So we have an ability
Talking about
to go
Craig's
to the bench.
jingle ball that he has jerked around and broke too many times.
Here's Mike Schilt on the Foul Territory
Speaking
program.
of fouls.
And he is speaking to AJ Pierzynski. So you'll hear him say AJ, but he's not. He is about to talk about Preller, but at the beginning you'll hear him say AJ.
Yes.
He's not talking to Preller. He's talking to AJ Pierzynski.
Preller might be in the other room.
For all we know,
Right.
It's possible.
Mike looking very, very. I'm about to go to my middle school parent-teacher conference.
Yes.
Hair nicely done, no
He
hat.
does. He looks relaxed.
He does. He looks relaxed,
Yeah.
calm, confident. Short sleeve, button-up shirt. And here he
Teacher.
doesn't he though? Tell me what my little cuz Billy's been doing.
My little cuz Billy. No, they would be more like, now listen here, cuz. My son does not mess around in your class.
He looks off-season Mike should look.
He
not
does.
in his uniform.
Yes.
Finally, not at the facility, not at the stadium. He looks like he's in a room of some sorts that could be attached to a house
Probably it's inside a house. I'm just gonna go
or
crazy.
inside a house.
A
right,
room
right.
that would be attached to a house, she says.
Known as a room.
Known as a room.
Just
It's like a bedroom.
yes.
Yeah.
Una
Or a
habitación.
room. Yeah. An office.
Did Joe Musgrove lend him that flannel?
Let's play the clip.
Yeah, no, he's doing something. This cat, you know him, AJ. I mean, our man Preller, he sleeps very little. He plays a little hoops, and then he is looking to dominate every day on behalf of the Padres. So, yeah, does he have something up his sleeve? He's got stuff up both sleeves, down his pants, in his shoes. I mean, he's got stuff going on everywhere. This cat is always getting after it. So, I couldn't even begin to keep up with hardly any of it. I just tell him when he gets close to something, let me know, and he'll call to run something by me as far as makeup of a player or just thoughts on a player. But he's a force of nature, man. So he's going to do everything he can within the parameter he's given to give us a competitive club.
Where was it again?
It was down his pants, he said.
What? He's got what? Where? What does he have? Where?
Okay, listen, at its heart, Mike Schilt was complimenting
100%,
AJ Preller
yes, 100%.
on the job that he does and how hard he works and that he's always got something cooking.
In his pants?
And if I was AJ Preller, I would just continue it. And I would, AJ, I'm telling you, just pull something out
of what?
Like,
where?
Just look in your pants. It could be any
Where?
part of the side of your pants. And be like, I'm about to drop a deal on you.
Drop a what?
A deal.
Mike. Personal foul.
That's the 7th team foul of the show, so our listeners are in the bonus. Maybe
every time we make you laugh, you can now go to the line for a one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one. Exactly.
Yeah. Also, if you'd like this conversation to stop, AJ Preller, you can also make a deal, and we will not talk about this, okay?
You'll not reenact the sweaty balls segment.
Also, a very good, one of the best SNL skits of all time.
See, the downside, like the people on YouTube can't get the full effect. The people driving around right now, like just trying to, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's the best.
Shilty.
he was giving AJ his flowers.
He was. And
Kind of.
Noting where the flowers,
They're everywhere.
might be stored.
They're everywhere. AJ Preller is an eligible bachelor. To my knowledge, he's not married.
Okay.
I don't know what his relationship status is. So, like, maybe
Keeps that on the down low.
Maybe Mike Schultz was helping him out a little. Hey, it's the holidays. I'm letting people know out there. AJ Preller's got a lot going on.
He's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Based
more
on
ways than one.
Based on the scouting report of that cat, and that's the other fun thing is he's that cat. That cat. Based on the scouting report of that cat, where is there time for a relationship? Let's break it down. Sleeps very little.
Plays some basketball.
Plays a little hoops.
Some time for hoops, right? So there's very little sleep time. There's some hoops time, but the rest of the day is dominating for the San Diego Padres.
This is really why Mike Schilt, I'm being serious, why Mike Schilt and AJ Preller have such a unity is they both are cut from that same cloth. They both kind of live, breathe, and eat it. They're lifers.
I believe that to be true. But I do wonder what's AJ's game status? I
don't think he'd tell us.
I don't think he'd tell us either.
I don't know. Is it?
But who could tell us?
Right.
Because
right,
I'd love,
He keeps it because AJ's a pretty down low kind of guy.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot except for when he makes a move and has to do a press conference. So you'd have to do some investigative work there.
What would the mean streets of Encinitas let us know?
Yeah, what would those,
That's
right, that's
know?
right. What would the Denny's of Encinitas let us know?
Right.
Because it's some waitress in there that knows the 1 a.m. crawl of AJ Preller to get some eggs over my hammy. And who is he with? Who is he talking to? Is he with anyone? Right.
It would kind of be like a poignant, sad in a way, film. You'd have the nice little montage over it of like this man who's known as such a dominant force in baseball, but in reality, it's just like 30 minutes at the gym, 30 minutes at the Denny's.
But I don't want to do that to him. He could be living a very robust life. We just don't know about it.
It could be a completely secret life.
Good.
It could. But what we do know is he's got tricks up both sleeves.
Think he goes to Kraken?
No.
Del Mar?
Does he have area scouts?
That's right.
He's built a team. I just don't even know. I don't know. What I know is he does a whale of a job with our San Diego Padres. I sure know that.
Yes.
Diesel.
The chat's enjoying this conversation very much, and I enjoyed it very much. I love off-season Schulte. He's fun.
Yeah, he's fun. And you know what? We'll get more of that next week at the winter meetings with Mike Schultz and AJ Preller. So it'll be good to hear from them. And yeah, I mean, this is a relaxed time. He's talking on foul territory. He's just having one of those relaxed conversations. I think they asked him a little bit about the Dodgers deferrals. They asked him about bringing Jerks and Profar back, which he's in favor of. But essentially with the AJ Preller quote, he kind of said, look, the guy's working so much stuff that unless something gets very close, he doesn't hear about it all. Or at least Mike Schultz doesn't want to talk about that publicly, which is understandable.
Quick reminder, next Monday through Wednesday, Thursday as well, but it's just the Rule 5 draft designed to piss me off. Monday through Wednesday, Sammy Levitt, our Sam Levitt, will be in Texas for the winter meetings, and he'll be on with Ben and Woods and with us and with Gwen and Chris, making 3 hits a day, keeping you up to date on the very latest, whatever actually happens, all the rumors, all the culture and color of the winter meetings. You'll get it from Winter Meeting Sammy, and that will be coming up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Plus, he'll do a show live from the winter meetings next Tuesday. His Inside San Diego Baseball will move from Wednesday to Tuesday so that he can do it right there in the heart of everything in the winter meeting. So stay tuned for that. You're home for baseball. You're home for the Padres. 97.3 The Fan. When we come back, it's time to play today's silly game. Today's silly game, as mentioned, is the game of multi-generational trivia known as Mind the Gap, where you're going to have to answer one trivia question aimed at a boomer, a millennial, a Gen Xer, and a Gen Z. And if you can do better than me, you'll be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Westgate Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul of Motown, and a $150 food and beverage credit. So, the phone lines are open. 833-288-0973. 833, what, you're just waiting for the ribbon to fall.
No, I just see how you just hold the whole package together now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I can't be.
It's completely dismantled.
I can't be as robust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's broken.
Nonetheless, 833-288-0973. Give us a call during the break. We will get you screened up. We'll find a contestant, and we'll play Mind the Gap next on The Fan.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun. The award-winning Soul of Motown is a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends, a must-see show during your Las Vegas vacation getaway. Tickets available at westgateresorts.com. It's time for Silly Games here on Annie and Elsten. Welcome back. We have a rotating set of 4 games that we play through the course of the week. So every week, one of the games gets played twice. It's an Anybody Knows week. So we'll play that again on Friday. Tomorrow, we'll bring in the All-Star Celebrity Panel, and we will resume the match game, which we missed last week because literally no one was here.
Just saw Greg.
I know, Greg's back.
In the hallways.
It's good to see. Good to see on the reg, Greg. So we'll do that on Wednesday, and on Thursday we'll play Fast Money. But today, we play the game of multi-generational trivia known as Mind the Gap. We have asked for a contestant. We have opened up the lines. We jingled the giant jingle bell.
Guy jingled his bells.
8-3-3-2. Third foul on Braden. He is trying to
He
foul
really
out
is.
of this game.
He's like, oh, sorry, Adam.
Gotta
I'd
get
like
out
to
of
go
here.
get some lunch.
Tell Klug to get loose.
I'm playing aggressive defense here,
Klug, this guy is reaching on every play. He is reaching and he is not moving his feet. And you may be needed in the next hour. Nonetheless, here we go. Bryson in Escondido. You won the challenge within the challenge. You are today's contestant. Welcome to playing Mind the Gap. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for calling. You get to be today's contestant. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we play the game.
Huge Padres fan. Been in San Diego, since '98. So, yeah, that's all I really got.
Okay, that's cool. That's all we need. Appreciate you. Here's how the game works, Bryson. We've got 4 different trivia boxes for you, okay? One is Boomer. One is Generation X. One is Millennial. The last is Gen Z. You're going to go first, and then we're going to alternate going back and forth. You're going to pick one of those 4 categories. Braden will read you a trivia question from within that. If you get it right, you've cleared the category. You're done. If you get it wrong, and I know it, I have the opportunity to try and steal. And same for you. If I don't get an answer right and you haven't cleared that category, you're going to get a chance to steal. First person to clear all 4 categories, Boomer, Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, is going to be the winner of the game. Only other rule you need to know, Bryson, you have 2 lifelines that you can use. One time you can ask Annie for help. One time you can ask Braden for help. They're usually pretty good about letting you know if they actually know the answer or not. And so that's a little bit of an edge that you get in the game. Sound good?
Cool. Yeah.
All right, brother, you get to go first. So Boomer, Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, the board is open. Where would you like to start?
Gotta go with my generation, Millennial.
All right. TV and film, pop culture, music, headlines, or slang?
I pick.
Yeah, you can choose.
Let's go with music.
In 2005, controversial R&B artist R. Kelly released the first 5 chapters of the saga of him being trapped. In what was he trapped?
R. Kelly was trapped in the closet.
That's right.
There you go. 1 for 1.
Wow. I did not know that. Excellent. You are down 1. Okay, let me go to, seeing as you did your home generation, I'll do my home generation and do Gen X.
Though not related, Johnny, Joey, Dee Dee, and Tommy launched punk rock music in the 70s. What was the band's name?
The Ramones.
The Ramones is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it. All right, you got Boomer, Gen X, and Gen Z left, Bryson. It's your turn.
Let's go with Gen Z.
Going with the kids.
In 2019, Megan Thee Stallion declared this for females, encouraging them to be unapologetic and embrace the fun.
Oh. I'll go. Can I get a lifeline from Braden?
Wow. My guess would be Hot Girl Summer.
I would guess that too. I would guess hot girl.
Yeah,
It is
I
hot
was
girl
thinking
summer.
hot girl.
All right, you
Yeah.
used your braided lifeline. Very well done. But the look
I
on
really
his
thought
face.
he was going to go for me, but he just
Yeah.
decided I'm going to go for the youth.
The look on
That's
Braden's
right.
face made us all a winner, though, Bryson. You couldn't see it from where you were. Okay, you are halfway done. It's back to me. He's cleared one side of the board, so let me try and get Boomer.
What was a gumshoe?
A detective.
Private investigator detective
Yep.
is correct.
What a gumshoe.
Gumshoe.
How about it? We're just working opposite sides of the board. So, Bryson, you got the 2 old categories, and I got the 2 young categories left. Which one would you like?
Let's go. I'll go Boomer.
What was the Western sitcom set in the 1860s that followed the misadventures at an Army outpost? It starred Ken Berry, Larry Storch, and Forrest Tucker.
Oh, my God.
You could use me as a lifeline.
No, you can't. Sorry about it.
Oh, God. There's so many going through my head, man.
It
What
started
was
with
the
a
time
letter.
frame you gave?
The sitcom was set in the 1860s. Blank,
Okay.
or it starts with a letter.
Yeah, it starts with a letter that you could get on your report card. That's the biggest clue I could give you.
Oh. Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.
F Troop.
F
There you
Troop
go,
is
brother.
correct.
There you go.
Very generous today.
I know.
You know,
It's a
He's
Tuesday.
got the holiday spirit, I
holiday
guess.
spirit. I like it when people win the game.
All right. Well, me too.
Jeez.
Oh, no, Bryson, you're doing really well. You're
Let me do
I'm
millennial.
trying.
3-0 here.
You are. You're doing
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, you've gotten a hint and a lifeline, and you answered one by
You're
yourself.
strategic. It's good.
There you go.
Let me do millennials. Oh.
D. Brown won the 1991 NBA Slam Dunk competition wearing a pair of these inflatable, deflatable shoes.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
oh my God, I had these.
I had him too.
The Reebok pump.
Reebok pumps.
Yep.
Is correct.
I had one of those when I was in high school. I got the pump.
That's
So
awesome.
silly. It was so silly.
I got the pump, he said.
All right, Bryson, Gen X for the win. Let's see if you can do it, brother. Okay, fine. I'll take the foul.
Third personal. 19. Where was the double bonus?
We're almost to the double bonus.
All right, Gen X, is that what you said?
Yeah, Gen X for the win for Bryson.
Okay. Finish the lyric. Give me the Beat Boys and free my soul. Blank.
I do not want to screw this up. I know this, and I don't
You
want to screw
better
this
know
up.
this.
Oh, now he's overthinking it.
Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll.
And?
just
And?
Slip away.
drift away.
Drift away.
But I think
Drift
you
away.
did enough.
I did it
Yeah.
all.
You
Yeah,
did.
you
Bryson
got
wins.
it. You got it.
Oh, thank God.
Give me
Yay.
the beat, free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and just drift away.
Thanks.
No just on that lyric thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Drift away.
Bryson, you nailed it, man. That was a really good game of Mind
Thank
the
you.
Gap. I hate it when we get the ones where like we both miss 4 and then we
Yeah.
just look like a bunch of idiots. That was a good game. Stay right there. Braden will get your information during the break, and you are into the hopper. So at the end of this week, they're going to do the actual drawing, and you'll get a notice if you're headed to Vegas. But really well done. And if you don't win, come back and play next month too.
All right.
Okay.
Great job,
then.
Bryson.
Give it a little pause there.
I bet
he was already
on
on
his
hold.
line he's saying, "Awesome,
Hey,
this was
thanks.
fun.
That was great. I
Thank
really
you so
enjoyed
much."
it.
You can leave a voice
Was I
message.
overly
Yeah, leave a
generous
voicemail
in
for
giving him
Bryson.
F Troop? Anytime I know one, I think that's what I got from playing the Thanksgiving game, Braden, where I gave James all the answers. Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
I was just in that giving mood. Like, if I know it, want to let you know. That's one of those ones. I never actually watched F Troop, but
I don't even know what F
I didn't know
is.
that
it was
Right.
a sitcom. It was a sitcom. Same era as like Hogan's Heroes.
I don't know that one either.
That was one that was set inside a Nazi prison camp.
Wow.
Yeah, where you were with the hilarious prisoners with their hijinks, like an American, captain that was captured.
Oh, wow.
and Colonel Klink would come. I need information. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Could they play that on today's airwaves? I don't
Active question, worth knowing.
know about
Don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've never seen it. I don't know.
And yet there would be some things that I'm sure would age, like milk, basically. But yeah, F Troop was, I just remember my dad watching. It's one of those things that was like on KTTV or KCOP, on a Saturday. They just have F Troop reruns. And my dad would watch, and I'd be like, why are you watching this? Is this even funny? But you know how that is when you're a kid?
Yeah.
Things stick in your head.
Yeah. You get your shows. You like your shows.
It's a little different these days. In fact, it's entirely different these days.
Is it, though?
It is. Because unless you are in a specifically calibrated household, there's not the one TV and we all watch what dad watches.
Oh, no. I thought you meant like in terms of like someone just like watching their show. I feel like people just binge their shows just on streaming. They don't really flip channels
Correct.
as much or watch, or they don't sit around the TV and wait. I mean, that was a thing. We'd sit around the TV and wait for 8 p.m. or whatever.
Just imagine how gleefully I was anticipating being able to force all of my, pop culture decisions and habits on my son, right? Because that's how everyone else growing up, like, well, you heard the music that your dad played in the car, or you watched the shows that your dad watched on TV, and so you couldn't help it, right? You wound up enjoying those same things. Well, today that's all gone. It's like, Dad, you're watching. Here's my phone. Here's my pad. Here's my individual device. Let me dump into my little rabbit hole of whatever is hitting my dopamine release, boom, boom, boom. Completely different world. Not saying it's better or worse.
I think you and James need to find a hobby you can share.
Fortnite.
Besides Fortnite.
Right. Why do I always have to come across the boundary? Why can't he come into my world?
Maybe you could
play
maybe you guys
Fortnite
can meet
first
each other in
and
the
then,
middle,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Why can't he venture into Craigistan? Why do I always have to go
Why don't you guys
into
go
Jamestown?
play like paintball or something, or
Play paintball?
I don't know, like
That sounds
something
horrific.
like laser tag, or I don't know, something where it's like
Laser tag.
kind of like
All right.
the digital, like something where it's like cool, but
I remember going to they had a laser tag place down by the Midway district for a long time. God, what was that place called? Is it Ultrazone? I think it was called
Yes.
Ultrazone.
Oh, it's gone now.
My
I
nephew
know
had a
that
birthday
place.
party
I had
there.
a birthday there one
Right.
year.
Yeah.
That place is sweet. We used to go
Yeah.
down there and play all the time. It was
That's
pretty
literally now turned into a Camp Bow Wow.
fun. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I
What's
mean,
a
I
Camp
knew it
Bow
wasn't
Wow?
around
A
anymore.
place
but-
to kennel your dogs.
Oh, really? Oh, it's not there anymore.
But I was
Like
in-
when Sammy the dog, not Sammy
Sammy
Levitt.
Levitt, yeah.
When Sammy the dog was in the kennel for my week vacation, he was there at the old Ultrazone.
Yeah, Ultrazone was cool. They had it had a bunch of like different like characters like for the teams and stuff. They had 3 different teams out there. I remember going there a lot in middle school and high school. It was fun.
Yeah, I remember going for my nephew's birthday.
It wasn't
Yeah.
too
We play
expensive
Ultrazone.
either. You
Or
could
we
like
play laser
totally
tag,
play.
sorry.
Like
Yeah.
you could be those. It was mostly parties. Like I was always there for a birthday party, but then it was like, there's people that would go there on regular days, and they would be with the party. It'd be kind of fun.
Doom Slayer says, "Why don't you learn to play the guitar together?"
He took guitar lessons.
Well, there you go.
He gave
You
it
two
up.
can sit around and play round and round or whatever.
gave it
you
up.
know? Okay.
Yeah, by Rat.
He gave it up. They didn't want to keep playing.
Didn't stick.
Didn't stick. You know what he wants to keep playing?
Fortnite.
Video games. Exactly.
Well,
Should just make him sit down and watch an hour of F Troop.
maybe,
You're like,
maybe
here,
you'd like that.
live
I need to
my
play video
childhood.
You can
games.
bond over that.
Just watch this.
Make all the devices shut off until between 7 and 8 p.m.
Yeah, save you some money.
Talking soccer with Tony Sanchez next.
So I had a thought during the break, and I feel like we could knock this one out pretty easy. Already established as show canon that we have personal fouls. We don't have a whistle. We've got a hockey horn.
That scares the hell out of people. I've already gotten 3 texts going, "What was that?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
I hate commercials
Personal
where the
foul.
doorbell rings. I
Oh,
think the
me
doorbell's
too.
ringing,
Yeah.
or the dog thinks the doorbell's
The dog
ringing.
goes crazy every time.
Like, that's why I feel like you can't play the ambulance sounder or something.
"No, I hear
People
that in
driving
songs."
would think it's an
Right.
ambulance.
Right.
I hear that in songs, and I go like, "Is there? Do I gotta get out of somebody's way right now?
Right.
Am I going too
So,
fast?"
Yeah.
so we need a whistle. We've already determined that. We need a referee's whistle.
Blow the whistle.
As a sound
Boop,
effect.
boop.
We have inside the Odyssey Palace every day around this time an actual bona fide basketball referee that walks these halls.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris Ello. He's a ref. He, by definition, has a whistle. It's probably in his car. Like, I mean, I don't know, but like probably he would.
He's not letting you use the whistle.
No. I don't want to use the
Okay.
whistle. I want him to record. Dude, foul on Annie. Dude,
Yeah,
foul on Craig.
he says it.
Yes, exactly. Like, dude,
Okay, that
foul
yes.
on Braden.
We got a
The
foul.
problem with this is who's going to be in charge of corralling him and making him do it? It's going to be Scraby. And then Scrabinator is going to resent us for having to pin down Ella. We'd have to, Braden would have to like help Scraby. It'd be a whole thing.
We can marshal some goodwill across the aisle, to the gentleman in the 2:00 time slot. Offer some sort of olive.
They could do it after their
branch,
show's preempted every day.
right? Yeah, one of those
It would-
days
it would
that
be
they
a
only work
pretty
for 2
easy
hours instead of
read.
4.
Right.
You can do it very easily.
And he
Right,
could
it's
have
gonna take
fun.
like 30
with,
seconds.
Like
Yeah.
If we
tell him to
record a-
envision a high school coach or player he doesn't like.
If we record a
like-
video, it'd be hilarious. Just make a GIF out of it, but you can
That would
also
be
play it on the
amazing.
YouTube.
Yeah,
If he could just pop up at the bottom
Chris
of the
just
screen like
pops up.
"Doop, foul.
Foul.
I'm for it.
I think that would be fun.
There's Adam. Yeah.
Adam in
Adam.
those chats says Ella would be happy to
Volunteering
help
for Adam. Or
That's true.
Adam volunteering for
yeah,
Ella.
Okay.
out. So let's volunteer Ello that he,
Yes,
he
You're
needs to
being
record these.
voluntold.
Yes.
Hello.
He needs to
Not
record these for
volunteered.
us.
Yes.
And then we'll have a fun little thing. And then it's kind of like cross-show pollination. So it's fun.
I'm down.
It's fun. And if he could pop up like the Otani graphic with a little just foul, now that would be amazing.
That would take some serious green screen work.
Nonetheless, I think it'd be worth
After
it.
Poor
Effects.
Braden's going to get the email.
I think
Braden,
it's-
we need to train
Yes.
you in
Yeah, that's right.
graphics,
All the work would be worth it.
motion graphics to get this happening on the YouTube.
Have you done Odyssey Motion Capture Graphics Training -2? Because that's the one you need to
we
finish.
also need you to learn how to code.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, enough silliness. Let's bring on hour number 4 and our special guest for today. He's been on with us so many times. Tony Sanchez, along with Alejandro Chiva Villaseñor, the two guys behind San Diego.Football, the two guys behind the Two Balls and a Mic podcast. They were on live last night, and there's a lot going on in San Diego soccer today. So Tony Sanchez joining us right now on the 97.3 The Fan hotline. ¿Qué pasa, amigo?
Vin, Craig, Annie, thank you for having me. Great day. A lot of news is coming down in the soccerverse here locally, so it's really exciting.
All right, we're going to get into it all with you, my friend, as we always do. Let's start, I think, at the top. Jill Ellis is out at San Diego Wave FC. She's in as the head of football for FIFA. I honestly don't know what that means in terms of the position she's going to, but your reaction to this announcement today?
This announcement definitely comes to a surprise for a lot of people and even myself, where it seemed like everything was on the table as far as moving forward for San Diego Wave with or without Ellis. The Leichman-Levine family was going to come into this new role as owners and really establish whether or not they wanted to create a different narrative moving forward. And in speaking with some sources within, that's exactly what they're trying to do. And this is almost a situation where it solved itself, where Jill Ellis now moves into FIFA, an elevated role on a global scale, where she more than less will be almost an ambassador for the game alongside legendary former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger. And now this also then leaves a spot open for San Diego Wave to say, okay, we have a blank slate, a complete tabula rasa. The most senior executive now is in the GM slot. So with the announcement coming up of a new head coach, this is really going to cement the beginning of a new era for San Diego Wave.
Any idea who might replace Jill Ellis or what they might be looking for in a candidate to replace her?
Right now, San Diego Wave has to focus, and we'll be focusing on bringing in somebody who can create a culture. Last year was a very tumultuous year, to say the least, for San Diego Wave, in that they had an opportunity to really cement themselves as the premium soccer product here in San Diego without having San Diego FC starting coming in February 2025. And it seemed like the club missed the mark on various sides of the ball there. Moving forward, there are internal candidates that can potentially rise up to the challenge in there, potentially one Shannon McMillan, as well as outside candidates. But the new ownership group will definitely need somebody who can establish a culture and really move forward with having a competitive outlook here in the market of soccer in San Diego.
Talking with Tony Sanchez from San Diego Punto Futbol. I heard Sunday, Tony, just being around the USD match, talking to some folks that we both know, that a new Wave head coach could be announced really soon. On Sunday, I was told it could be Monday. And then, of course, today, I'm sure this whole Jill Ellis thing took precedent. But what are you hearing in terms of who it could be and when it could be announced?
San Diego Wave has been on an ongoing global search for a new manager for the latter part of last year, landing on two interim head coaches, Buckle and Landon Donovan. But now it's really a decision go time because the technical staff has all been relinquished of their duties that was part of the 2024 year. So now it's going to be a short list of one or two candidates, and it is coming down where they have selected and will probably be announcing very shortly that former WSL manager Jonas Eidevall, the Swedish manager, is said to be appointed here very shortly. Like you said, the Jill Ellis news does take precedent here. However, this is going to be an usher in a new style of play, an offensive and attacking style of play from Eidevall, who can potentially now have also a blank slate on how he wants to establish his philosophy here moving into the 2025 year.
All right, so help me out here. Jonas Eidevall, WSL, there's that. For everyone who just doesn't know anything from anything, what is the WSL? I'm looking at your guy's tweet. Arsenal. So he used to coach Arsenal, the women's Arsenal.
Correct. Yes, he used to coach women's Arsenal, and that's the WSL, which is the highest tier of soccer in England on the women's side. And with that, he actually led that Arsenal team to two women's League Cup titles in 2022 through 23, and then the 23-24 season as well. And also led them to the semifinals of the UEFA Women's Champions League in 22-23. And after a string of poor results, that's what led him to go ahead and step away from his role over in London this last season, making him a viable person to come in. So this is somebody who has a pedigree already established in the women's soccer game and can once again help the young stars and young players in Wave reach a new level and potentially see Wave back on the positive side.
Go ahead.
Tony, you mentioned there's been a lot of change for the San Diego Wave, and we saw the head coaching changes. You know, Jill Ellis is out, new ownership. What is the state of where this organization is at right now? I mean, they had two really good years in San Diego. This year did not go as well for them, and there was a lot of off-the-field drama. So what do you get the sense that this new ownership and the new state of the organization is at?
So right now, it's definitely a brand new day, a new outlook on what could potentially happen with anything and everybody on the table. Both front office and the soccer standpoint are getting that tabula rasa, that blank slate, and it can really be an opportunity to reset a lot of the expectations because San Diego Wave was seen as the top team and an example of what an expansion team can do for the NWSL and was really a highlight of the league up until last year. They came into this year being the Supporter Shield champions, and that's something that two other expansion teams really looked at and wanted to replicate. now it's an opportunity to start building from the ground up and really start building some equity with the community as well, who seem to have also felt a brunt of this on-field, off-field drama as well. And again, this can be a brand new outlook because at the end of the day, they're going to have competition with new tenants at Snapdragon Stadium as well.
Tony, I saw yesterday, just in the run, unfortunately, I didn't get to tune in yet and go through the show. But I heard you guys mentioned Casey Stoney on last night's Two Balls and a Mic. Is there any news as to Casey Stoney? I'm sure there's a lot of Wave fans who would be curious as to what her next venture is going to be.
Casey Stoney is currently still residing in San Diego, and she moved her family altogether in order to coach here, went through the visa process in that she's still planning on coming back to coach, and that can be something that a lot of teams in the NWSL are keen to look and hire. There is an opening over in Houston. Houston Dash is a potential landing spot, but also there are rumors and speak of potentially her moving a little bit up north on the 5 to Angel City, which would just be a built-in rivalry right there. A little bit of a extra dirt on that, because again, Casey Stoney, if you really take that look back, was let go by the club for performance. If you want to be pragmatic about it, you can almost say that she could have been in charge for the rest of the year, still have her on the payroll, and you get a similar result to what you ended up having at the end of the year. So a lot of dynamics. Casey Stoney will be back in the NWSL for sure coaching.
She's at Angel City. That's just, it's just a mess. It's also fun, but it's also a gigantic mess. Before we let you go, my friend, you guys at San Diego Punto Football are breaking some news once again about who could be the next international player signing for our new MLS club, San Diego FC. What are you guys reporting?
So we have sources that are confirming on multiple ends that Eric El Guti Gutierrez, the Mexican international, currently playing for Chivas de Guadalajara, who has played over in the Netherlands for PSV Eindhoven, is set to sign and be announced by the club here shortly as well. He's a midfielder who is a two-way player. He can play well defensively and on the attacking front. Chivas de Guadalajara, his current team, are the ones that are going to be deciding and negotiating with the club whether or not the player wants to move over here. But there is something that is going to be driving him to San Diego, which is the signing that's already here, the DP, Irving El Chucky Lozano. And that's somebody who is his best friend. They played together in Pachuca. They also played abroad in PSV Eindhoven. And so that's going to be somebody who is definitely has been on the minds of people of, well, if one comes, the other man might follow as well. A very dynamic player in terms of that midfield play. His left foot is deadly from outside of the box, and he has a great vision and should plant well next to Jeppe Sverskov, a number 6 type player in the midfield, to be part of the number 7 player for the MLS franchise coming in as SDFC.
Oh, we had Jeppe on with us a few months ago. Annie, okay, so one last question on this. Guti Gutierrez, would he be the type of player that would be taking one of those DP, designated player contracts, or would this be someone that SDFC would be looking to fit under the cap?
This is somebody who would be fitting underneath the cap. He does have a $5 million release clause in order to be activated from Chivas de Guadalajara. Currently, they're estimated around $700,000 yearly contract for the player and broken down into weekly wages. So he would not fall under that DP. That will also leave space for a potential to later have a bigger player sign for San Diego as well. So that's an advantage there. And again, it's not a hometown discount, but it's a friendly discount per se with Chucky Lozano playing here.
All right, yeah, keeping the door open for KDB if he can just keep on walking through. Tony, great stuff as always, man. You're the number one person in town when it comes to being on top of everything happening with San Diego soccer. Let everyone know where they can follow what you and Chiva are doing on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and follow us at sandiego.football. You can go ahead and check out our show on YouTube on a weekly basis, 8 p.m. live. And our website, sandiego.football, anything on there, on Blue Sky, on the X, on any social media that you want. Go ahead and check us out, sandiego.football.
Tony, always appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Good stuff. A lot going on in the soccer world.
I'm telling you. Could you imagine if Casey Stoney signs in L.A. and then just makes it her life's mission to make the Wave miserable every single match?
I mean, I don't know. You would, like I said, you would know better than I would with your sources, but it seems like she's a really good coach. I mean, there was something that happened here with San Diego Wave FC, and nothing's come out that's been negative. It just seemed like it was their choice, to let her go. But she's a great coach that seems like she's got a lot of respect around the league.
Yeah, I mean, a way to read these tea leaves is that Jill Ellis built something, but that something was built on a hierarchy of ego. And then when power dynamics started to shift within the front office, it didn't work the way you'd like to see it work. And those power dynamic shifts led to conflicts. And then what do you know? Everybody underneath her, from the general manager to the head coach, they all disappeared in a few months' time. And then 2 months later, it was Ellis that was on the hot seat. And now here we are, in December. And now it's going to be a new president of the team, a new head coach. But I am excited to hear about this Arsenal head coach coming in and bringing a real attacking style to the club, because the style is what the club has been seeking for a while. If anything, one thing about Casey Stoney is she plays what they call suffer ball, where you're going to grind it out and be super tactical and try to win 1-0, so I like that. I like the pedigree that they're seeking out. I just hope that this reset allows the Wave to regain their footing, because they've been such a class franchise, and it just stinks to see it all kind of, 1 year later, like, where are we?
Yeah, Tony's right on that. You have a chance. You have an opportunity now, after all the drama of this last year, to have a blank slate and to try to thoughtfully implement how you're going to act and run your programs going forward. So hopefully they do that.
All right, when we get back after this timeout, we're going to hit some of the big topics that we touched upon earlier in the program, including Higgy hitting the bank. The Higgy bank is full now.
He did hit his own bank.
Yeah.
Yes.
His Higgy bank just ding, 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 filling on up. And it's leaving the Padres with some questions behind the plate. We'll get back to that when we return. Annie and Elsten go until 2. Gwen and Chris check in at that time on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Listen to Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt. That show will come your way tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m. right here on 97.3 The Fan and on our YouTube page. Sam talks all things Padres baseball and keeps you up to date on the latest hot stove rumors. And once again, I mean, that's what he's doing this week. I mean, Sam's probably playing pickleball right now. Then tomorrow he'll host a show.
Yeah, next week he's riding a mechanical bull.
Next week he is riding a mechanical bull. That is exactly correct.
He's just tearing down Billy Bob's.
If I was the winter meetings, I'd stick a mechanical bull right in the middle of the media cohort, like the lobby, and just force media. If you want to talk to the executives,
yes,
you've got to ride the mechanical bull.
They had every time Dallas-Fort Worth hosts major sporting event things, they always have some type of cowboy thing on display. I remember when they had the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game, they had the little the practice, the fake horse with the little bull that pops out that you had to practice roping with. They had that for the NBA guys to try. Nobody could do it.
Nice.
And then I think they had a bunch of that stuff for the MLB draft this year when it was in Fort Worth.
They should actually make the GMs, like Preller, ride the bull. Whoever can stay on the longest.
Gets the number one pick in the Bull 5 draft.
10% off one
draft.
Right.
Get an extra draft pick if your
Make
GM can ride a mechanical bull.
Meanwhile, Scott Boras just stands next to it and says, I'm feeling bullish about my free agent's chances to sign big money this week in Texas.
You know
I
who's gonna
can't
grab
wait
the
for all
bull
the
by the
Cowboys.
horns? Me.
Can't wait for those isms.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
I am not.
Okay, well.
I am not. The guy's terrible.
It depends on if anything else
That's
is
a
going
cornball.
on from the winter meetings. If there's other stuff happening, then we'll be like, whatever.
Cornier the better for Annie.
If there's nothing happening, we will welcome those puns like water in a desert.
It's true. Apparently the music's still on.
Yeah.
Braden.
I don't. It's so frustrating. It's like, oh, we want you to add music in between the breaks. Well, you know what? It's hard to push all the buttons all the time.
You what? You want me to turn it on and off?
You want it on, but then I got to do the screen. I got to do all this other stuff. It's just like
It's a busy job, man.
it's way too much button pushing. For
21st century
for
job.
things that don't matter.
Just push them all and see what happens.
I should. I wonder if I could play all the music at once.
What if I
Let's see
gave
if I
you a
could do
giant
that.
stack of
Oh, I
cards?
can't. I can't do them all at
Bummer.
once.
Could give you a giant wall of commercials that you have to go back every break and pull the commercials and then
Yeah, put it in there.
push them into the cart slot. That's what I did when I was doing
Oh
Braden's
my God,
job.
that's how it was?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not automated.
So we'd have 6. They're called carts, C-A-R-T, carts, and it was like 8-track tapes. Is essentially what it looked like.
Still call them carts.
Yeah, they do. And so you'd push it in, and you'd press the button on the board, and it would fire it. And when you were recording those, you had to do it with little special things so that it would stop at one, like it would start at this time, stop at that time. And so then we'd have this whole wall of them, and then you'd have your log, and you'd be like, okay, well, this we need, Total Wine and More, and so I'd pull Total Wine and More, plug it in.
So they have the logs.
Press this one, press that one, and you'd have to individually fire each one. So, the cart would say at the end, here's the last 2 words. It would say Q, colon, the last 2 words. You were listening for those words, and then you'd hit the next one.
I hear stories like this, and it amazes me that things got on the air at all.
Yeah.
That it was like a working operation.
I know.
TV's like that too. All the mechanical things that they had to do that are now automated. But in radio, you hear that, and there's so many user error or places where something can go wrong. Not that it can't go wrong with technology too. We've seen that happen as well. But it's amazing.
And then
how worked.
Like how Paulie has his soundboard where he'll play so they'll say Mike Shelton, he'll go, he's a stud, or okay, cuz, like all of those, right? Just like that.
That's correct.
So instead,
Mike.
in the old days, Paulie would have had, in addition to his commercials stack, he would have had his own personal rack, and it's like a grocery store rack, of carts, and he'd be reaching to pull the one with the clever thing, push it in and press the button, as opposed to just having it all at your fingertips.
That is wild. So could you run to the bathroom if you needed to, or no, because you're pushing tapes in during the break?
you'd have to do that while they were talking.
Yes.
That'd have been your time to go. Yeah, because the commercial break, you're firing every 30 seconds.
It's like when we used to run the Padres, the pitching breaks are not built in. They weren't used to be not built in. You had to like fire every single one of them.
Wow. With newspapers and like say you were doing high school football, the journalists tell me stories of when they would have to go find a payphone, and they did some like it was like they wrote their story essentially using the buttons on the payphone, which then like transcribed it into the story form on the other side, and then they'd quickly go get the halftime report was that, and then when the game finishes you find another payphone and you press all the buttons, and that's like you're transcribing your story through the phone. That is wild to me. And then I just think also about how during this whole period there's like no internet. Like you're not Googling, oh, when did he last do this? Like you got to either find it in your notes or you don't know it at all.
Giant almanacs.
Right.
I literally remember.
Rolodex.
Yeah.
Like
I remember at one time in the 90s, like working in sports radio and imagining, like just literally imagining, like, could you imagine the world where someone's going to call, because we thought it would always be caller driven, because that's what they were in the 90s.
Yeah.
And someone's going to ask that question and you're going to press beep, bop, beep, and like you're going to have something all like. No, it's just called the internet now. Like we thought like we'd have to have our own special program that would have everything loaded in with Detroit Lions info or Lakers info or something. No,
and it was for like sports writers or
right.
sports reporters.
Yeah. Like some special, bespoke technology. And it's like, no, it's just called the internet. It exists.
It's crazy to think about.
It really
I think about Nick Canepa and like before, like he's been writing that long where he wrote at a time during a time where there was no internet. You're phoning in your stories, although that was the same with like a lot of the reporters that are still there. But the no internet part is crazy.
Yeah.
Like you're not checking any facts. You're not that there's other ways to do it, but like you better know it or have it somewhere in your library or your Rolodex or you're making phone calls. But that was also like when writers would go share a drink with a source and then have like 2 cocktails at lunch before going back to the office and writing some more. So,
well, did you know, because these were the stories told to me as a young man in the press box back in the 90s, and did you know that Jack Murphy San Diego Stadium used to have a bar in the press box?
I did not know that. No, that is a great historical fact.
There was a
I wish I knew more of those.
In the press box, and like you get back from the locker room and pour yourself a drink.
I can so see this.
Yes.
It does not shock me at all.
Yeah. The famous Padres beat writer, the gray ghost, Phil Collier, from what I was told, secondhand hearsay, not legally admissible, would basically get back from the locker room and then the bartender would give him 2 tall vodka tonics. And those would sit right by his typewriter. And then he'd knock out the story.
It would be cool to see what that looked like. There's got to be a photo somewhere.
Right?
Because I wonder if it was the same press box that was there. They just took the bar out eventually.
Probably, yeah. That's probably like where those back tables used to be.
That was like more the cafeteria part of the press box, and it had a bar. But the fact that it had an actual bartender there that was pouring them drinks.
And of course they had a cigarette dangling off their lip as well while they're recording.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
but that's also like
time.
I think about like flying in planes and how people used to be able to smoke in planes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? There's no way. But that was just what it was.
Oh, you know what's so funny? When I told you we played Mind the Gap on Thanksgiving, one of the questions was which was asked to James, and he just looked at me like, what the hell? It said, when it was a boomer question, it was when you went into a restaurant, you used to be asked to choose between this and that.
Smoking.
What was it?
It's not indoor or outdoor.
Yeah, and he was looking at me like, I don't know. And it said it was smoking or non-smoking. And he goes, what do you mean? There was a different like restaurant where they smoked? I'm like, no. Like, and then my dad chimed in. It's like, no, I used to have to sit there, and then the smoking section was literally across the way. Like,
it's so
the
funny
booth
because
over.
like on a plane, it's the same as the restaurant. On a plane, like where are you going? You can be in the non-smoking section, but you're still gonna
smell the smoke.
The smoke isn't leaving. Like, it's not being vented out the back of the plane. It's just sitting there inside your chamber.
It's
you're
just funny to think
soaking
about.
in it.
Right. All that. And a bar in the press box, I wish if someone has a picture of that, I would love to see because I believe it. And what a time.
What a
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
right? We missed our moment.
Mm-hmm.
although, not for nothing, 94.9 quite often records a beer podcast
They
That's
do,
right.
Yeah. Next door
during
to us.
our slot.
They're very generous. They'll
And
offer
they'll
Craig
sometimes offer. Well, I mean, they would offer.
They
all
offer
of you,
all of us,
all of
but-
you beer. One of us maybe says yes,
Yes,
occasionally, as opposed to saying no all the time. But so we're not that far.
Yeah.
We're not that far.
And they
removed.
crack open the beers. They drink them in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
delicious.
yeah.
Hoppy.
It's always
Joy.
a like an interesting brand.
Yes.
Like a
Yeah, be one of our local brewers,
Right,
someone
right.
that you don't know
beer
quite often.
connoisseur, right? But it always looks like a cool brand or something new to try, a cool new flavor, whatever it is called. Yes.
Yeah, all sorts of good stuff. So yeah, things. Well, this just turned into Pepperidge Farm remembers when they had beers in the press box
And a bartender.
and a bartender and tall vodka tonics. Sure, those were great stories.
I can imagine. I used to get some of the stories from Nick when we were covering the Chargers, and that was when Nick was still traveling. I would get stories on the road from Nick Canepa that were just incredible. They're what you would picture it to be like. You know what I mean? And some of the same players, not players on the field, but players of the stories, like the GMs or the front office people were still around, and so you'd hear all these stories and then like talk to them about it, or some of them you couldn't talk to them about it. But it was just a much more different time, clearly.
I'd love to have Sammy show up at the winter meetings next week, like dressed like old timey, like have the
fedora.
the fedora with the the card in it that says Padres Press, and then every one of
Yes.
his call-ins, he has to actually find a phone booth.
He's got to talk like a 1920s.
I'm dying. It's like
Think
kicking
about
Ken
that.
Rosenthal out of the booth. Get out of there,
Yeah.
kid! I gotta call in my report.
I
Get outta
mean,
here, get outta
Braden's
here.
generation looks at a phone booth and they're like, "What the heck is that? What would you use that for?" Right? But phone
That's,
booths.
like, just younger
imagine
than
finding
me.
a phone booth. You know,
Phone
Just
booths were-
imagine finding
It's just
a phone
finding
booth.
it, and you're on the road, and now I got to go find a phone booth and then type in my story using the buttons on the phone.
Phone booths and pay phones were still around at the beginning of my life.
Yep, not anymore, brother. Like, where can you even find 20 payphones inside San Diego City proper?
Probably not. I mean, the
They
only
used
thing
to be
that-
like relics, and then
the
they
only
start
one
taking
that,
them out.
The only one that used to have them still was like the airport, but then the airport got wise. It was like, nobody's using these. We should probably turn these into phone chargers.
Right.
So now most of them are phone chargers.
Yeah.
It's maybe I'll Google that during the break. Like, are there payphones in San Diego?
I mean,
and
it's
if so,
kind of
where?
cool now if you use a payphone. You look like you're really. I don't know. I
Try to
would
be
like to
sneaky.
know more about you.
I-
Yeah, if you're.
You don't need pay phones anymore. It's what burner phones are for.
That's
I mean,
right.
I would say that you're doing a drug deal
Yeah.
if you were
I'm
on
sure
the
like
payphone.
London Town
probably.
still
Or
has their like
some heist.
square phone booths. you know?
Those are all in
Apparently,
heist movies.
Inside the Farrells in Mission Valley, a payphone is hidden in a barrel. Okay.
They have a Farrell's there still?
I can't believe they still have a Farrell's. They used to have a Farrell's in La Mesa.
Farrell's
Half
is-
Moon on Shelter Island, a payphone is hidden in a shell. This is according to
Mission-
Google's
Do they
AI.
still
Mission
work? I
Valley's
wonder if
got
they
a
still
Farrell's?
work.
There's no way.
Yeah, I don't think there's still a Farrell's.
The only Farrell's I know of still is the one at the fair. And they only open around the fair time.
Are you telling me AI isn't perfect?
Yes.
Hey, wait, Braden, he might be right. Farrell's. I don't see it as closed on Yelp. It's
Adam Paul says it's closed.
oh god,
Well, if Adam says it's
everything
close.
good is
Farrell's,
gone.
Farrell's is fabulous fun. My mom used to say. There used to be one at Mira Mesa. That was the only one we would go to.
All right, the
When
last
people
Yelp
would order
review
the
is
pig trough.
2016. So yeah,
Fair
I'm gonna
enough.
say that it's gone.
The last one I knew of was I think at the fair, and I doubt that one's still there.
And apparently UC San Diego has payphones on campus at the Shiley Eye Institute, Torrey Pine Center South, UCSD Extension, and Warren Lecture Hall.
Is that for their history classes?
That's just a little piece of history there.
For
I knew
their,
my-
Sometimes
knew
the
my
academics
university
need
do
to
it
make
right.
a
for their
call.
computer science classes. You know,
Uh-huh.
this is old technology. We
Yes.
understand.
Who even carries change anymore?
I know that's another thing.
Who accepts
Who
change?
carries cash half the time?
Nobody accepts
I know.
it.
Yeah, who accepts change? Right.
I've had the same like 4 bills in my wallet for like 2 years because it's worthless. I can't use it anywhere.
we used to have like a change, you'd have like a change purse, like a part of your purse that was just for change.
That's one of my cup
I know.
holders.
Wallet
In high school, the cup holders in my truck was just like all the spare change that I would flip together to get something on the dollar menu McDonald's or get like get some at Taco Bell. I could get like a feast at Taco Bell for like 89 cents.
Now too, the parking permit, okay, I will say this: I've
Feed the
enjoyed
meters.
The meters, though. Now you can go on an app.
I know.
For a lot of them, and it's
scan. They all have credit card things.
And but it's that's kind of made my life easier. I feel like, because isn't it the worst when you used to like pull up somewhere and you're like, oh, do I have enough change?
And you're like, oh, I don't want to give it quarters. It's going to be more time than I need.
I had to park one time for a Padre game this year because my regular spot by Bottle Rocket was taken. I had to park in a active meter, and I downloaded the app, and I was able to put in 2 hours there, go to the game, sitting in the stands, added hours.
That's what I see. I do that downtown too.
That's
I would
great.
add, you add the hour when you need it, and you can do it on your phone, and it also takes away the guesswork of did it really take the quarters? Because sometimes those are a little. They're not working properly.
Yeah.
You can't tell. But wasn't it always the best feeling when you pull up to a meter and there was still like an hour left
yeah.
on
green
it?
on there,
Yeah, and you're like, yes. Or
This
by
is
the
great.
beach, that would happen.
Definitely by the beach for sure.
Look at all the things we're remembering: money, change, payphones.
Okay, if you had certain license plate, if you had like commercial plates, you could park down there and you didn't have to worry about it.
That's
Oh,
true.
I didn't even know that.
That's like
That's
all
true.
trucks. It was like all numbers in one letter. My truck had it just naturally. Like if you have a
wow.
truck, you have commercial plates, so you could park your car down there without getting a ticket and stuff.
And this
Fun
has
stuff.
been
Yeah.
your Kyle Higashioka discussion for the 1
If
o'clock
I
hour.
could turn back time.
That's the next show. That's there.
I'm sure there's a drop.
They've got that drop.
They
Every
do.
time
I
Elo does what I just did.
Oh, is that what I'm thinking? It's probably my
It
subconscious
literally
bringing
is.
that
It
back
is.
because I've heard them do it.
I
Yeah.
can't find. I mean,
Yeah.
Scraby's
Sorry, guys,
sheet
wasn't
of
stealing your ideas.
drops is just chaotic.
Convoluted,
It's not as
as if
organized
it's a
as the
foreign
morning
language,
show.
as if it
Yeah.
was from a different country altogether.
Well, some of them don't even match up anymore. They have like different names on them, and then different things play because he flipped the carts.
Good job bringing it full circle, right?
I'm
there,
a
my friend.
clown.
That
Found that
wasn't
one.
it.
No. Like,
See, if
Chris is a
he can
clown.
record that, then he can record beep.
I think that was just
Foul on
naturally-
Annie.
During your show,
I think
right?
that was just naturally on the show.
Oh, that's fair.
Just naturally happened.
Let's take a break. When we come
Alrighty.
back, that was our last break. When we come back, it's time to ask us anything, including historical stuff.
And we have a voice message.
We have
We
a voice
do.
message.
Somebody
It's
left
not
us
really a question. If it's a
it's an-
comment,
it's
and we're
an
going to
ask-
play it.
It's an Ask Us Anything.
Yeah.
They
All
asked,
right.
They did ask a question. Voice messages are perfect for Ask Us Anything.
I mean, it really is.
Leave us a voice message. You want to ask us anything.
It truly, it's great.
On the
Odyssey
Odyssey
app,
app.
use the voice message function, or
There it is.
the phone lines are now open. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Lines are open. Giant Jingle Ball has been used. So you can call us. You've got 10 solid minutes to call the show. If you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll get you on the air at 833-288-0973. All you have to do is have a question to ask the show. Annie and Elsten, 97.3 The Fan. Wrapping things up with you on Annie and Elsten. Stay tuned. Gwen and Chris will be up next with Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, and Matt Scraby. Scrabes has his own show from 6 to 7. Scrabistan. It's a country to itself. But we've got you for the next few minutes here. About to jump into Ask Us Anything. We're going to start with a voice message because we've been asking you on the Odyssey app to utilize the function and to leave the show a voice message, and Braden, someone took us up on it.
David and Santee. Here's his Ask Us Anything.
Hey guys, sorry about the voice, but heard you guys wanted some recorded messages, so here you go. Figure I'll do an Ask You Anything and find out what your favorite Christmas movie is. Love the show, guys. Keep it up.
Oh,
all right,
David
and Santee.
Question. Okay, great. Mine is Elf.
Okay. Mine is A Christmas Story.
Okay.
Did we answer this last week? I think we did.
Fine.
I like the what's it called? I like the one with the heat miser and the snow miser.
Oh, that's right. We did talk about that last week.
Which one is that called again? Is it like it's like Baby New Year? Let me look it up.
Heat miser, snow
He's
miser.
Mr. Heat Miser. He's Mr. Sun. That'd be A Year Without Christmas.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
And then because Nate Taylor said it was the no, what's it? What are it was called?
Yeah,
Rankin Bass.
There you go.
The Rankin Bass movies.
A
Classic.
Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yes, A Year Without Santa Claus. That's the
Yes.
that's the one with the heat miser. All time character in the Rankin Bass movies.
Brilliant. With that, let's hit the bumper. Okay, I remember the heat miser.
Yeah, the heat miser, and then it's his brother, the snow miser. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they have their own little jingles and stuff. They don't like each other.
That's when I was 2.
This is a good one.
It's classic.
The Heat Man. I'm Mr. Heat Miser.
He's Mr. Heat Miser. He's Mr. Then they have the little mini versions of them walking around as little like henchmen.
This was like old school animatronics.
Yes.
Yeah, the Rankin Bass movies. They
Yeah,
had like
the claymation.
Yeah.
Claymation.
Yes, claymation.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Those are the ones we used to watch all the time.
Our phone number is 833-288-0973. You still have a couple minutes to call. Juan and Vista called yesterday. We couldn't get him on. We said, hey, call us right back. And he did. Hi, Juan. Ask us anything.
Hey, guys. How's it going? I heard a rumor, emphasis on rumor, on Twitter about Justin Verlander potentially talking to the Padres about coming over.
I heard that too.
And my question is, would that be a good fit for the Padres? And if not, what other veterans in the MLB would you want? Or would you prefer maybe Sagano if we get Roki Sasaki?
Yeah, I mean, Sasaki Juan is obviously the golden goose.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's a class unto himself.
Golden references.
However,
Everything's golden.
Indeed. In the right scenario, I would be willing to entertain the idea of a Justin Verlander end of career, just trying to, bag that ring.
He already made all his money.
Right.
So you're not going to pay him $43 million.
He's not going to be your ace. He's going to be
He'd
part
be
of the
your
rotation.
5.
Right. Yeah.
I'd be down with it. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer in his future, and just 2 years ago, he was terrific. So it's not impossible to imagine that he's still got, that maybe he had an injury-plagued year and that he, finds it and has another, a little bit left in the tank for I think it'd be age 41 season. I think he's.
Wow.
Yeah. Remember, Justin Verlander could have been the Padres pick when they picked
41.
first in 2004.
He'll be 42 on February 20th.
Yikes.
But you know what? I would love it if he's still got something left in the tank.
Yeah, it costs you $4 million.
That's the problem. Yeah. I don't, money. Well,
if he was cheap enough,
exactly.
Then
on
it's
the
worth
cost.
it.
I'd entertain it if it wasn't like,
Yeah.
The going rate for a pitcher. Just take a pay cut just to keep his just keep playing days alive.
Let me just put it this way.
Last year, Randy Vasquez pitched almost 100 innings with a whip of 1.5. Last year, Justin Verlander pitched 90 innings with a whip of 1.38. So if you can be better than Vasquez and reasonably as affordable,
reasonably priced, right?
then sure, Justin Verlander. As to what other veteran, buddy, right now, Juan, I mean, if Frankie Montas is getting $17 million and Matthew Boyd is getting $15 million, Sagano maybe from Japan, maybe, like what reliever can we convert this year that's going to be willing to take just a few $1 million to prove he can be a big league starter?
Yeah, you're looking for like the prove it deals, like guys that are willing to take a little less to show that they can still play.
That's the way I'd look at it. Juan, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you calling back. Appreciate your dedication to the show. Hi, who's this? You're on the air.
Hi, this is Ian.
Hi, Ian. Ask us anything, buddy.
Sure. So, looking at this past weekend, seeing how well SDSU basketball has done nationally, I had a question a little bit about SDSU football.
Yeah.
There was a guy who, I'm blanking on his name, who was on Gwen and Chris about a month ago, I think, and he was essentially saying that some of these teams that maybe don't have as much money as some of the other Power 5 conferences would just essentially say, look, we're just going to roll with what we got and just say, let's just produce the best basketball team we can, or just focus on one particular sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious, if you guys thought that maybe, one, do you think SDSU in an NIL era could produce, a nationally competitive football team and a nationally competitive basketball team? And if they can, what was one thing that you would do to try to make the football team more competitive?
Ian, great question.
Great conversation topic.
Yeah, like that's a whole segment's worth.
Yeah. Can you? Yes. But they would need more money, right?
They'd need a lot more money.
Yeah, you'd have to have an NIL pot that is really lucrative to players who would want to come here.
You bring back their heavy boosters that they pissed off. They got to put effort into getting kids to go to the games. I mean, they got to make an atmosphere good. We could spend an hour on it tomorrow.
Yeah, great topic.
No, it really is, Ian. And the bottom line to the first part of your question is the Aztecs are one of the leading pushers to create this new Pac-12, so they're not going to give up football. They literally can't. Great calls, though, all the way around. You're going to be off tomorrow, Annie?
Yeah, I have a scheduled day off for something I cannot miss.
No worries. Braden and I back with you tomorrow at